Welcome to the Wednesday, August 20th, 2025 meeting of the Gloucester Conservation Commission. The time is 5:30. We'll start with a roll call of commissioners present. Member Cook.
Here.
Present. Here. Member Rattiri.
Here.
Member Gullet.
Yeah, here.
Member Jackson. All right, so we do have a quorum.
Okay, first up is our administrative briefing. Anything you want to chat about, Chuck?
Nothing tonight. No.
All right, so next up would be the public comment period. This is the period of meeting where people are welcome to speak towards items that are not, I repeat, not on tonight's agenda. If you'd like to do so, you can use the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hit *9 on your phone or handheld device.
Don't have any hands up on Zoom, and I'm not seeing any here in the room.
Hearing none, hearing none, I'll end the public comment period. We'll go to minutes review and approval. Commissioner Gullet moves to approve the minutes for August, is it the August 6th? August 6th, 2025.
Commissioner Cook, seconds.
Roll call. Member Cook.
Yes.
Yes. Member Rattiri.
Yes.
Member Gullet.
Yes. All right, next up would be continued business. Notice of intent 0282976 171 R Magnolia Avenue. This has been previously continued to 9/17/2025. Next up, notice of intent 0283006 105 Winger Chic Road, 125 Winger Chic LLC to replace existing single family and detached garage with pile supported single family home and garage, installation of gravel driveway, installation of septic system, water service, it's in coastal dune, barrier beach, land subject to coastal zone flowage, ACEC, and buffer zone to ACEC and BVW. Joel Favazza, Legal Solutions, PC, representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If it makes sense, if you want to open up 107, the next one as well, we can do them at the same time. The report's identical.
Okay, for the record, Chairman Gullet moves to, you want me to move it?
No, I was going to open up the next hearing also. We'll do them at the same time.
Okay. Oh, okay. Notice of intent 02830 Winger Chic Road LLC to replace existing single family home and garage and pile supported single family home and garage, expansion of gravel driveway, installation of septic system and water service in coastal dune, barrier beach, land subject to coastal storm flowage, ACEC, buffer zone to ACEC and BVW. Joel Favazza, Legal Solutions, PC, representing.
Thank you so much. For the record, Joel Favazza, CSAT Legal Solutions, 123 Main Street in Gloucester, here on behalf of 125 Winger Chic LLC, the applicant for both of these. The update on this is we submitted on August 6th a supplemental response in response to a comment letter that Beals and Thomas, the third-party reviewer that's been working on this, its various iterations for a couple of years at this point. We just today got back a response to our response to their comment letter. It was pretty positive. I think all but 2 of the comments were closed out. A few of them were closed out, suggesting that you add a condition to memorialize what they had recommended, and those proposed conditions are all fine with the applicant. The 2 comments that are not completely closed out were number 5 and number 13. I spoke with the people at Beals and Thomas earlier today. It's my understanding that for number 5, there's an additional note they're looking for on the existing condition plan, just to explain the why as to why existing topography has changed, it being that, the sand moves seasonally. And so we'll get that information along with the data, the most recent survey data on the existing conditions plan. That should close out 5. On 13, they wanted the floodplain elevation data from Sandboard Head put onto the proposed site plans. We have one of those lines showing in red for the land subject to coastal storm flowage. They've also, Beals and Thomas has also asked that we add the line delineating the AEV zones per Sandboard Head. So we will add those and resubmit the proposed site plans. The only other part of the letter that I think is of concern for the commission is that they added one new comment. As you'll recall, in the midstream on this application, the Conservation Commission began defining ACEC limits differently. And so the ACEC line moved on this plan and the 100-foot upland edge line moved, and therefore the 100-foot buffer to the upland edge line moved. And as a result, the septic system, some of the underground septic system components are now located within 200 feet of the ACEC, which is within 100 feet of the upland edge, which is a prohibited activity under the GWO. So what we're going to look at is to see if there's a way to move the subsurface components outside that 200-foot, or at least, you know, more of it outside that. But because of the constraints on the site, and hopefully, you know, at your discretion, given that the line was moved mid-process, we may need some, you know, leniency on that strict prohibition. We may be in the last 10 or 15 feet of that 200-foot buffer with some underground components of a septic system. That's, you know, if we can get it out, we'll just get it out. But if we can't, that'll be the one kind of thing we'd be looking for leniency on, is to say, hey, listen, we're, you know, using fake numbers. We're 188 feet away across the street from the ACEC kind of thing, right? Although yes, now the elevation 10, it does come onto our property. Anyway, so it's two comments. These are plan detail. One last little bit of plan revision, see if there's any more creativity we can squeeze out of this to move things around. And then I'm hoping to be back here ASAP with those last three things checked off, and maybe actually get this thing for final discussion and vote. That's all I got for tonight.
Okay, thank you. Do you have the hand up from Stacy Minahan, from Beals and Thomas, if you heard of her speak?
Hello, Paul. Stacy Minahan with Beals and Thomas. Thank you. And Joel, I think that summary is pretty accurate. Just a couple of clarifications for the commission. The note that we're looking for on 5 isn't the why of why the topo change. We understand the dune shift. It's just that the plans don't reflect that an additional survey was undertaken. So we talked with Joel about just adding that additional survey information so that it's memorialized what the topography is based on, since it's different than the last time the commission had seen the application. And then the other items, as Joel noted, I don't have anything to add to. There were, as he noted, some kind of conditions that we had called to attention. An updated WPA form wasn't submitted, so, you know, we don't have the square footage of dune information. So there's a couple other minor things in there, Joel, when you're looking at the letter, to just, you know, make sure you capture in a response. But I'm happy to answer questions if there are any as well.
Do Commissioner roll call comments?
Sure. Member Cook,
No additional comments at this time.
Member Sergeant.
I'm glad you brought up, you know, the change that with the ACEC delineation to an AVD. And if you can flesh that out a little bit with that change, with potentially with fill and thinning of vegetation as well as that would be appreciated.
Member Terry.
Are these lots pre-1961? Are they part of a subdivision? Have you looked at basically all of the?
Yeah, they were created by A&R at the behest of this commission actually a few years ago.
Okay,
We had a lot pre-61. We were trying to put 2 houses on it, and the commission said it'd be a lot easier to cut this in half and give us 2 DEP numbers. And no good deed goes unpunished.
okay, fair enough.
Member Villa.
Nothing else to add. That's fine.
You want to open up for public comment?
Anybody in the public who wishes to speak for or against the project do you want them both done, Joel? At 105 Wingashiek Road and 107 Wingashiek Road LLC. You may do so by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen, or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
No hands up on Zoom and none here in the room.
Okay, seeing none here, none, close public comment period.
When you look to,
2-week continuance should be all we need. Right there.
September 3rd.
Commissioner Gullo moves to continue the project at 105 and 107 Winger Chic to, what is the September 3rd, 2025.
You want to do the third, Joel?
Yes, please.
Okay. Commissioner Cook seconds.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Yes.
Member Lettieri,
Yes.
Member Gullo.
Yes. Anyone else? We going on to 107 or
No, we just.
going on to the next project?
Yeah.
I'm looking at Joel like he's got more to add.
Wait for the next one.
Oh, that's why. Notice of intent 0283020 High Rock Terrace, Peter Carbone and Susan McNulty to raise and rebuild single-family home and associated appurtenances, I'm not get that word right. Other
Appurtenances.
structures on the dune, within coastal dune, land subject to coastal storm flowage and buffer zone to coastal resource areas. Devin Tabor and Lucas Environmental LLC representing.
Hi. Good evening. May I begin?
Oh,
Can you hear me?
yep, go ahead.
Okay.
Name, address, and record?
My name is Chris Lucas with Lucas Environmental. I am a professional wetland scientist and registered professional soil scientist. I'm here representing To High Rock tonight for Lucas Environmental. Miss Tabor is out of town tonight. Obviously, we also have Joel available there. I don't know if he's still in there.
Around the bend.
Sorry,
So-
Heather.
And we have Dan Ottenheimer also on this evening to answer any questions, but just want to give an update to where we are with the board. As several commission members are aware, we had a working session with Beals and Thomas last Wednesday. I think it was a very productive session. We've submitted a response letter to the board July 30th. That letter addresses 3 of Beals and Thomas's comments. And the primary reason for that is we wanted to resolve the limit of the dune issue before we go back and redesign the project to be fully compliant with the performance standards. To avoid numerous iterations and also to save time for the applicant and for the commission. You know, we don't need to keep coming in with different design plans from front of you. Those 3 comments primarily related around the dune, specifically asking for additional subsoil information, subsurface information on the overall site, discussion of the artificial fill, and then providing the coastal dune manual that CZM has prepared for the checklist. All that information has been provided, and to update the board, if I'm going to share my screen if that's okay with the board.
Yep.
Can everyone see this?
Yep.
All right. Let me know if I should zoom in more. Again, this is the existing dwelling. Seaward is toward the east. You get that large structure, the existing structure here. It's the hotel condos there. And then there's a grass lawn area adjacent to here, which is primarily coastal bank. Twilight Ave is located here. As you can see, we've done numerous test pits throughout the site. These are all marked here throughout the entire project site. We've done extensive subsurface exploration. We've also provided numerous transects across the site. Following that information, you can see these lines here, the transects A, B, C, and D. So we could look at that. Most of this site consists of artificial fill. There is some sand below that. And following the working session we had, we took a look at our notes and photos, and it appears that the majority of the sand underneath the fill is a very coarse material, whereas the sand down in the natural dune, down in this section of the site, seaward of the existing dwelling, is a much finer beach sand material, dune sand. So there is a difference. Looking through the test pits, and that's where we get into these profiles. I don't need to get into the details here, but generally we have bedrock fairly shallow on this site with a thin layer of sand and then primarily fill on top of that. The the sand and artificial fill layer is primarily above the floodplain elevation on this site, which is a critical aspect when we're looking at the artificial fill and does it play a role in the dune. We do not believe it plays a role here for various reasons. One being we went back to historic aerials and we provided a copy of one in 1971. Actually, I have an image here. This is the site. This is our project site, and in 1971, this clearly was not a dune, it's a forested canopy. You typically don't see forested canopies on dunes. So this wasn't, a natural hill. You can see more of the dune structure, potentially down here, more of a natural dune, but this is clearly a forested canopy, which makes sense. We also know this site and this whole area has been historically impacted and worked over. Which makes sense that, we believe that sand on the site has been more either brought in from fill or worked over on the site, where this likely was the tree canopy was removed, the topsoil was removed, a new house was brought in, and artificial fill was brought in when this was constructed. We've also looked historically and indicated, we've gone through, the criteria of what would make this a functional dune if it were a dune. And, you look at the factors for that, and this pertains to Beals and Thomas's second comment on the artificial fill and whether or not the fill meets the regulatory definition of a dune. Is there two-way exchange of sediment between the coastal beach or the seaward dune, and the site itself? Can it act as a reservoir? Are we seeing sediment going both ways? Can the landform reshape to natural wind and water flow processes? And can the landform migrate landward in response to wind and wave action? There's been no evidence of that on this site whatsoever beyond the delineated line. And just for reference, this is where we believe the the new dune line should be located based on all the information we've provided. There's no sediment transport on or off this portion of the site. The artificial fill is not moving around. It's not eroding. It's not shifting. We're not seeing sediment being transported to the site. It consists of a relatively flat site, which is pretty much manicured lawn, a shed, pea-stone parking in the building. So we're not seeing what you would naturally see. There is a natural dune in here with dune grasses, but otherwise it's not migrating beyond the riprap wall or the structure of the home. We provided and we've detailed all of this in the letter. We had a working session, and I think there was a general consensus, and I'll let Ms. Minahan speak to that. But I think based on the available information that we have on the site and the extensive analysis we've done, that this represents an accurate delineation of the primary frontal dune. And we believe it accurately shown here. Dan and I are on here. We're happy to provide further information or discussion, but I'll leave it to the board for questions and Ms. Minahan to provide any additional commentary. Thank you.
Comment for commissioners? You want to do public comment first?
First off, I'll open up for public comment. Anybody in the public who wishes to speak may do so by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
We have no hands up on Zoom and none here in the room.
Seeing none, hearing none, close the public comment period. Commissioner roll call.
And also just to update, I mentioned during the meeting and in the previous meetings that I had reached out to Rebecca Haney with CZM regarding the delineation of the primary frontal dune. Unfortunately, she was on vacation and then sick, and so she will not be able to get any analysis on that until hopefully next week at the earliest. Roll call. Commissioners, Member Cook.
No, as far as the delineations go, I'm actually fine with those, so I have no additional questions.
Member Sergeant.
I understand that it would be nice to get that information in from Rebecca Haney, but I also understand that the applicant is going to move forward. So I'm fine at this point in time if we their the delineation of the functional dune at this time, but in the OOC that the primary frontal dune may be changed delineation in the future based on information from CZM.
Member Siri.
I attended the listening session. I found it very interesting. So I thank you for providing the information and sort of the summary of your analysis as well as Beals and Thomas as well. I enjoyed that back and forth between both of you. I just have a few comments, a few questions, just for my own edification. I'm wondering if you could help answer them. Can you pull up the transcript profile from their map of the transcripts, the transects that they did?
Yeah, let me find that. Unless you're able to get to that quicker, Chris.
I have it ready if you'd like me to share again.
Oh, okay, yeah, because you just had the first page of it, it's the second page of the plan that you had shown. Yeah, can you zoom in on the AA plan? Transcript profile?
Is that good? Can you see?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm looking at the lines that say bedrock, sand, fill, and then existing grade. And I'm gathering that those are done from your test pitting and auger samples. I recall there was a conversation during the listening session and a discussion about whether the sand on the site was the natural sand or whether it was sand from around the neighborhood that might have been pushed around when they were building and when they were developing the whole neighborhood in the first place, or other sand that might have been brought in as fill.
Mhm.
In your markings on this transcript, for what's marked as sand above the bedrock and that's not marked as fill, is that what you guys determined to be the natural, or is that sort of what you guys were discussing as sort of the indeterminate source of what the sand might be, and is that different from the fill?
That was different from the fill. The fill layer was more of a and Dan can speak to this, but it's generally more of a sandy loam. We separated it so we could evaluate where there was sand. So the area between the bedrock and this line here is a sandy layer, but it's a very coarse sandy layer. We don't believe it's naturally wind blown or ocean generated, from wave action, based on what we're seeing, particularly in comparison to the sandy material that is seaward of the existing house. So there's a significant difference in the texture of the sand. So and with the history of the site as well, in conjunction with the tree canopy historically here, we do believe the site was worked over because that's a very thin fill layer there, and if there was an existing grade on previous material on top, I don't think you'd have trees growing very well in a sandy area like this. Not to say they won't, we don't know what was there, but we do believe this sand was brought in. And we're going off the best available information we have. We might have a different opinion if this wasn't historically, a forested site, not forested, but a treed canopy, different type of system than a typical, you'd see with a typical dune.
Right, I understand it's sort of a unique as terms of, coastal dune sites go. So I guess my next question following from that, and I guess, is where there's that sort of dip in the sand line down to test pit 13 and then back up and then back flat for a little bit, then back down to test pit 14 in the front. Given that that's not sort of what you believe to be natural deposit of sand, is that then not sort of an approximation of what the original dune might have been?
It's possible. That's one of the things we were looking at, but again, we don't believe this is a natural sand layer. Like we said, and Dan spoken to this at the working session, that this whole area has been completely worked over. But we were looking subsoil to see if there may have been an old profile. It's possible it could be one, but looking at the overall site, we don't believe it is. But yes, you're right. There is this test pit 14 is toward the back of the house. This comes up, down, and back up to a very gradual slope. So, but again, the site's been all worked over. It may have just been like this because it was excavated down for the house. We're trying to do forensic analysis on the soils here to figure out if, what we're dealing with. That way we can get past in an agreement on these 3 points. So then we can move forward, modify the design appropriately, and come back and address the remaining comments related to the house design, the pavers, and the other coastal dune standards.
Okay, so I guess in conclusion, is it fair to say that those profiles you see in the transcripts are inconclusive as to any historical condition in the dune?
I wouldn't say they're inconclusive because we do have information from these indicating that this isn't natural sand. So this wouldn't be, we don't believe this is part of the natural dune structure.
Okay, so so it leans towards not being the natural dune structure then? Is that your?
Correct.
that we-
Correct. That,
Okay.
overall, that would be our opinion, based on what information we've been able to pull from the site.
Okay, thank you. Can you scroll back up to the first page of this? Yeah, so I'm gathering the conclusion for the dune delineation now is that it runs against the foundation of the house and against that riprap slope, because both of those sort of vertical barriers remove the tendency for two-way migration from the sea towards the land, and also any migration laterally of the sand, and that kind of removes them from the functionality of a dune. Is that correct?
That's our opinion here. Yes, beyond this line here, this riprap and the house are, there's no migration of sand. Exactly what you said. There's no evidence of any two-way exchange of sediment. There's no evidence of erosion landward. So we believe the artificial fill here is not acting in what we would consider the regulatory definition of a dune.
Okay, so. And it is proposed that the house, the proposed new house is going to be raised up on piles, right?
Yes.
So wouldn't that allow more of that like two-way migration and lateral movement of sand underneath where the existing house is and different from the existing foundation?
It potentially could. We did that to work with everyone to accommodate the concerns with the site. I know CZM has had commentary on this. CZM's opinion has been you have to exclude artificial structures. So CZM's opinion is we don't count the house, or we might not count the walls, which professionally we have issue with that, because you're going to count the artificial fill that was put in, but you're not going to count the structure. To us, it's like, well, if you're going to count the fill as part of the dune, then the house and the walls should be part of it. You can't have it both ways. It's either the artificial fill and structures are in or they're out. Our opinion is, based on what we presented here, that they're not functioning in the way the regulatory dune should function, so they shouldn't be considered part of the dune definition, part of the delineated dune.
Right, so I understand that, and I understand sort of, you're delineating based on existing conditions and the constraints that you're working with. But if the new house is going to be on piles and there's going to be two-way migration and lateral movement of sand, is it possible in the future that the primary frontal dune delineation will shift more landward?
It is potential. We could do other things to prevent that if necessary, but it is possible. And dunes do migrate. Natural dunes do migrate. That's the tricky part. And working on these sites, they can migrate, and that's been a critical part of what we've looked at on this site. Can it migrate? And if it can, where's it migrating to? So there could be movement of the dune down in this area. And I wouldn't be surprised if there is. If there's a big storm, this could get washed away, and then new wind-blown sand comes in. Another storm might bring in some more sand. So it's they do move.
All right, so in your opinion, should that affect where the delineation is placed right now?
No, I wouldn't think future conditions should affect the current delineation.
All right, thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you. Those are good questions.
You have something more? Do it now? Sure. Okay, just because I want to make a short story long. I did some research, and historical maps showed all of Long Beach to be what they called sandy knolls. And then and look at John Mason's map in particular says that. And then I looked at the town of Rockport's development plan for Long Beach. And the idea was to level off all of the dunes and bring in fill. And where this lot is really at the terminal end, probably what was a dune system, where it would go into upland. If we were more where KPM Motor End is, I would think, we're more dealing with potentially, a barrier beach system. But this is really at the terminal end, this particular lot. And you're liable to get, mixes of upland soil as well as the dune soil, particularly seeing itself. The land was worked over so much.
It has, and it is the terminal end, because the property immediately to the southeast where there's existing lawn there now. We took a look at that from down gradient down along the beach, and that area, it appears to be primarily ledge. If you look at it, it's just a giant rock outcrop with some loam on top of it and lawn. So it does appear that and we have bedrock below the fill, so we're right on the edge of where the coastal bank and dune kind of fringe in together, because we do definitively have dune. I mean, there's the dune beach grass is growing there along the edge, and you have a good mound seaward of the house, and and then southeast immediately to our site, it's just you've got coastal beach going up to a coastal bank. You can see the rock outcrop right there.
Right, yeah.
So that does completely support what we're seeing now, supports the history here, that we're
Right.
clearly on the terminal end of it.
Yeah.
It's a tough site.
And Member Villa, did you have anything?
I think I'm good. I have nothing else to add at this time.
It's yours, Sharon.
Yeah. Stacy, you have a-
Yeah, I figured I'd just add some flavor, and I agree with what Chris has said, and great questions by the commission. So in speaking to what CZM has, and I don't want to speak for them, but what they often look for is kind of transects beyond your property, and part of what we talked about during the working session is that really doesn't make sense in this context because you're at the terminal end, so you're adjacent to bank. You're not going to be able to find what the natural dune form is next to your site. So that's one of the complicating factors with this site, as Chris noted. And then, just to clarify the discussion around the sand movement. So the state's position is that coastal dunes, you can have a coastal dune under a paved parking lot, for example. If the dune form is still there, or the dune sand under the parking lot, and that in a large storm event, that parking lot might wash away, and then you're getting that sand migration. So I think in this case where it seems like maybe the sand that we're seeing on the lawn area, may not be native. And I think one key thing to think about on this site is what Chris pointed out about it being above the floodplain. So you're not getting the, more standard occurring large storm event that's going to be impacting the property. So I just wanted to call that out, that it doesn't necessarily matter whether it's functioning as a dune now. Just because something's on top of it doesn't mean that it can't move sediment, and so it's not a dune. But I think that coupled with the floodplain location is worth considering. The only thing, Chris, and I apologize for not catching it during our work session, but if you pull up that transect AA again, I guess I was thinking that you were following the wall for the primary frontal dune delineation, but I see tonight that I think you're suggesting the riprap be the edge of it. But I think if you go to the transect, the profile, what's that? So is there no, I'm just trying to look, is there no sand kind of behind? Auger 1 has very little sand. TP 14 has very little sand.
Right. And
Okay.
that's TP 14 is right behind this
Right.
curbing, and then there was slight drop to a riprap wall here, and then this came around. So we, after evaluating it, looking at it, because this drops down and there's no sand, we shifted it slightly down gradient
Okay.
to the landward edge of the dune being here.
Okay. And so what's between the landward edge of the dune that you're showing on that cross section and the riprap wall? Because that seems like it could function. That just little gap to the right of where your cursor is.
Right here.
Yeah.
Dan, can you speak to that? I know you were out there.
Correct. No, the idea is to show the landward edge of dune right at the base of the wall. I would just say that's a drafting error
Oh,
on
okay.
this profile. That line
Okay.
should have slid over a little bit.
Okay.
But this is accurate here, correct?
Yes, right.
Okay, so we can clean that up. Thank you, Dan.
Okay. Yeah. So no sand occurs kind of between that retaining wall and the riprap subsurface. There's not a dune subsurface there. It starts at the base of the riprap. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
And we can correct that. Thank you. Good catch, Stacy.
Yeah. No, I only noticed it because you were zoomed in.
The one last point I will make, and this isn't necessarily a popular point, but I do like to call it out. You know, it is my professional opinion. You know, when we're looking at dune issues, there's a lot going on here and there's regulatory overlap. And we're before you for the Wetland Protection Act, coastal dune regulations. The coastal manual from CZM is a guidance document. It's a great one and we use it frequently and we like it. But again, it's not regulation. So when you're using that manual, you have to tie it into the regulations and how it works, and they don't always match up exactly. So it's just something for the board to consider when we're looking at this, that the manual is an excellent resource, but it's not a regulation. It's never gone out for formal public comment, review by the public to be formally put into regulation. It's not a regulation requirement in the Wetland Protection Act that you have to follow it. Excellent guide. Like we said, we use it all the time. But sometimes sites don't match up exactly the way the manual is meant for and tied into the regulations. So just keep that in mind. Thank you.
All right, so I guess are you looking for the commission to approve your delineation this evening?
We are seeking, you know, whether a poll or a general approval on the location of the line based on the peer review by Beals and Thomas, the work we presented, so we can move forward in redesigning the project site, so we can come back with hopefully a good plan that everyone's in agreement. We can meet standards and move this forward to a conclusion in the near future.
You ready to do that?
So is that an ORAD or like just a general thumbs up?
Well, I mean, I think it can be done as a step as part of the NOI process, given that this.
Right.
Holding up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah.
Yes, we would like it part of this process. I don't know procedurally how you'd like to do it. I don't know if you want to poll the board and get an opinion, or I'm not sure how procedurally you'd like to handle it. Is Joel in the audience still there? Joel, I don't know if you have a.
Yep.
No process, he's legal 120 Main Street, the attorney for the project. So part of an order of condition that you'd eventually hopefully grant is the accepting and approval of the delineation shown when there isn't an ORAD previously, right? And so I think you could probably bifurcate the process and here say, okay, we're gonna approve the delineation, still gonna approve the project. But you say, yeah, we agreed this is the set of rules and boundaries we're playing with. Now go show us that what you want to build, hit the performance standards based on where we've agreed this line is.
Right.
You can take a vote if you want to, and that'd be.
I think you do it either way, I guess is my opinion.
Again, if we approve it, and then we have something in the order of conditions that says that if information comes in later, that perhaps, that delineation could change.
Well, once everything is approved, that delineation is good for 3 years.
Couldn't we have something in the order of conditions that says that given the difficulty of the site, that the delineation, I want to hear from CVTM before I make something good for 3 years. There's some way to move forward.
If I may, through the chair. In my opinion, yes, you can do that. So once you issue your order of conditions, then the delineation is confirmed for 3 years unless you specify otherwise. I think it could be appropriate to specify that this delineation is only approved for the present project that's approved in the NOI, but I don't know that you would be able to change the delineation for this project once you issue the order of conditions.
Well, right now, we could just give them a thumbs up and just say, move on to your next review, next step of redesign in response to the rest of the comments.
I think that's the way to go at this point.
And then that leaves
Put
us,
that in. Just.
sorry, I mean, that leaves us time to hear back from Rebecca Haney too.
I still don't know how to verbalize that into a.
Well, I mean, they're gonna need to continue anyway, right?
Yeah.
So it's just,
Yeah. I mean,
think-
Right.
why don't we just have Chuck poll each of us? And, say whether, we accept the delineations as presented today or not. In my case, I'll accept them as they're presented today.
I guess you're saying we don't even necessarily need to accept it, but sounds like you guys are on board with how it's been presented today.
Yeah, I don't know necessarily if accept is the right term, because like Dave's concern is if something comes back next week and changes things around and changes the calculus, then it might change the delineation. I think,
It would be appealing.
but I think that the public hearing is still open
Yeah.
because there's still peer review work remaining to do. There's still apparently a redesign from the applicant that needs to happen. I think what they're looking for is just approval that what they're working with under the delineation that they've presented is enough for them to go back to the drawing board and redesign the project.
Right.
And I think the consensus among the board here is that everybody's pretty okay with the analysis that's presented, subject of course to any further comments from CZM.
Right.
Yeah.
And until we approve the project, we haven't actually approved the delineation.
That's
Okay. All right.
So are we moving up the NOI, or are we doing a finding, or?
Like, I would just be
Well-
continuing.
Okay, just continue.
My only concern there is that, at this point, you have, Mill River, you have Lucas Environmental, and you have the people that you've hired, Beals and Thomas, all sort of saying, this line looks correct.
Mhm.
And the kind of like, asterisk that you're looking to put on this still runs the risk that despite the fact we have all these experts telling you this line and all this if CZM comes back, we can still hit the same thing we're trying to avoid. We go, hey, great news, guys. Here's the redesigned pile field. Here's the redesigned plan. You go, yeah, that's great. CZM thinks the line should be somewhere different. We go, okay, but again, Beals and Thomas, Lucas Environmental, and Mill River all told us this looks right. That's what I'm trying to be a little more firm to say, are we going to say, listen, these people are all experts, they're all a consensus. I appreciate CZM may have some comments about, what they'd like to see, but if you are saying tonight that CZM may influence you to no longer accept the line that these people are telling you is correct, and that runs us to the same problem. We go, well, how do we know, where we can and can't put these items on the site?
I don't want to end the game at the seventh inning.
Yeah, I mean, I guess ultimately, if that's what happens, you can always ask for a vote, and if it's denied, you can appeal it. Right?
To me, it's CZM isn't another opinion to trumpet. I think CZM's comments are another point of data
Yeah.
that go into the experts in their analysis of their opinions. I think their opinions are their opinions right now, and all we don't know what they're gonna be with any other CZM comments that come by, so.
What I heard was this was a tough site and it was difficult. So the more information, the better. And to try to say, well, we don't need more information, really run the contrary to what the experts were saying.
So I guess just elaborating on what Joel said, if CZM came back and, if we're hopeful that she'll concur with our delineation as shown. If they don't, I guess the question is, like Joel said, you've got two experts on the applicant side. You also had a peer reviewer. Do you look at this as, okay, we're two out of three people are in agreement and you go with what we presented, or are you more inclined to, follow CZM? Because that's our concern right now. Even if CZM chimes in, we're happy to listen to them. More so on the design. If there's input from CZM on ways we can work the design to satisfy them, we're open to discussion on that. But we really would like to get back to designing this. We don't want to lose another 2 weeks. We've been here for over 8 months or longer, I think. And we'd like to move this along for the applicant. They've been sitting on this, so it's another at least 2 weeks we'd have to wait to have a discussion. And if there is a difference of opinion, what's the board's thoughts on resolving that? A lot of times we've done this, if there has been a contentious one, if there's 3 opinions, you usually side with 2 out of 3 if it's reasonable. So we're just, we would like a little more concrete feedback tonight, so Dan and the rest of the team can get back to the design.
I don't think CZM has veto power over where the delineation is. It's just more information. And if it's either this or that, we'll have to split the baby.
I think the feedback is positive. I think generally all of us are on board with the delineation. I think it's just if there's, there's an unknown piece of information out there that might or might not influence the opinion that you have. And we don't want to set something in stone while that's still out there and coming.
Okay. So it sounds like the members here tonight are genuinely in favor and agreeable with the line pending anything significant from ZZM being presented.
Correct.
Correct.
Agreed.
Yep, I agree with that.
We can take that information and move forward. Chris, you want to request a continuance?
Okay. Um,
It's September 3rd. I don't know if you want to continue till then in hopes that we have something back from CZM to talk about, or do you want to continue further up?
No, I think the next hearing would be appropriate so we can get some feedback and move along. We would request, if amenable to the board, that Ms. Minahan and Beals and Thomas attend that hearing. If there's further discussion with CZM, I think that would be appropriate. Obviously, we understand there may be a additional fee for that, but I think it would be appropriate if there's going to be a discussion. It'd be best if all parties were present.
And Chris, if CZM comes back and says, no, you guys have it pretty close, we probably skip that meeting, right? If CZM gets back to us in a week saying, you know, we concur with the line, we just request a continuous in writing to push it further out when we get to design work.
Right, correct. I agree with that.
September 3rd,
Excuse me?
continue to September 3rd.
Okay. Chairman Gullo, oh, get these glasses on. I can see.
All right.
Chairman Gullo, approve, what am I doing here? Note of intent. A motion to continue, are we moving it or continuing it? We're continuing.
Right to
The
9/3.
project at 2 High Rock Terrace to September 3rd, 2025.
Commissioner Cook seconds.
Oh, Member Cook,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Member Terry,
Yes.
Member Gullo.
Yes. Right?
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
have a good
thank
night
you.
all.
appreciate your time this evening, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Wait for him to, wait for you to open the next one, and then I have to recuse.
At, Welch Lane.
Yes,
Okay.
open it, then I can recuse.
I don't want you to open it. So let's go. So we next up is notice of intent 0283036 36 and 7 Welch Lane in R Woodman Street, RDL Welch Lane LLC Road, stormwater management, construction, utilities, installation in buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland. Joe Vavaza, Seaside Solutions, GC representing.
Wish to Sergeant recuse?
For the record, Bill Pavaza, Seaside Legal Solutions, 123 Main Street, here on behalf of the applicant, RDL Welch Lane LLC. The update on this is that Ms. Nealon from the Conservation Department and a third-party reviewer met out on site. I was there also maybe 2 weeks ago. They were starting off by just checking to see what we had for remaining flags up there. As I will point out, there's still an active ORAD on this site, so the boundary of the wetlands have been delineated on the site and approved by this commission. But part of the scope of work that was requested was to have them go, have the third party review go out and check anyway. What the third party review did note is she found some water kind of running down a slope and asked for just a little more information as to what that might be, because it was not part of the delineation. So we're gonna send the wetland scientist back out there with Bill Manuel on this one. He'll go back out there and just kind of confirm what that water was, whether it was persistent runoff or kind of a one-time thing that was happening while it was out there. And then very similarly, the last one, assuming that there's no demonstrative reason to force a review of the ORAD, the third party review will begin looking at the proposed drainage and the proposed, there is impact to resource area and replication to resource area by culvert. We're just waiting on feedback from the third party reviewer. We haven't got anything from them yet, have we?
No, they plan to have the review by next week sometime.
Okay, so I think the continuance for another 2 weeks would be great. We'll see what they have to say. If it's easy enough to deal with, we'll deal with it. If it requires more work, I'll request to push it out further.
Sure.
Okay. We wanna open it up for?
I don't necessarily need to.
No, I don't, we can keep it moving. We good with this then? You want to keep going?
We need to continue it.
Well,
Yeah.
hold on. Right, Joe, are you doing design work right now, or are you just sort of waiting for third? party?
Design work's done. There was, it's, you know, we submitted an NOI with all the drainage, apparatuses, you know, included in the plan. As well as the replication work was, we had to update the plan slightly. We hadn't noticed we had nicked into the resource area. Chuck actually, caught that. And so we submitted a supplemental plan that had, the, whatever it is, using a fake number, 120 square feet of wetland we're impacting and 240 square feet replication. But that's all in the file already. We're just waiting for the review of proposed drainage and, access to the buffer.
Okay, and the third party reviewer is looking at the older NOIs, right? And
Yep.
looking at potential conflicts?
Yep.
Okay, I'll reserve the comments I have on that until we get their results then. Cause I mean, I've had kind of review I've done since May or June, the last time this was in front of them, that I don't think I've said on the record, because I think there's just been continuing for that, but
Yeah.
I'll save that for later then.
Yeah, yeah, so the reviewer should have their document in the 28th, Thursday, at the latest.
Okay, we're good to go?
Yep.
Commissioner Gullo moves to continue the project at 367 Welch Lane and Woodman Street to the September 3rd, 2025.
Commissioner Cook seconds.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
and Member Bella.
Yes. All right.
Record. Commissioner Sargent returns.
Next up. Notice of intent 0283056 38 Beach Road, 8R Sherman Road, 140, 145 Atlantic Road, James Wood for restoration and land subject to coastal storm flowage and buffer zone BBW coastal resource areas. Mike DeRosa Environmental Inc. representing.
Hello, everyone. Mike DeRosa from DeRosa Environmental. I'm not sure why my video is not on. Let's see. There. Hello, everyone. Since the last meeting, we made some additional changes to the plans. And I went through, suggested by Mr. Sargent. I went and reviewed the Cobble Dunes and Cobble Beaches sections of the CZM guidance. We made those changes to the plan. We also added 3 more red maples, so there's now a total of 31 trees as part of the restoration plan. We added both the coastal Cobble Dune and coastal beach resource areas to the plan, and they come up to the actual roadway, so that whole frontal portion of the coastline is all appropriately labeled. And then the commission also asked for a professional arborist to be part of the invasive removal. And so both ourselves and Chicoria Tree Service will have an arborist on site during the invasive removal. We made the changes to the plans. We added some additional red maples here in front, which brings the count up to 31 total trees. The other thing I did, which for the commission and for Chuck too, is I did a whole list of all the changes that we made during the hearing process. So everything's sort of summarized in one page there. But essentially, the main thing is we took everything off for the hardscape work out on the water side of Atlantic Road. And all we're doing there is the invasive removal and the replanting of that portion of the project. But everything else pretty much stayed the same. We added more trees along the back here where the initial cutting was. And we added a split rail fence with no fencing behind it, so wildlife will be free to pass. And we got everything, we've made all the changes the commissions has requested, and we're hoping the commission will vote to close the meeting and issue the order of conditions tonight. And I can take any questions.
You want to open up public? I'll open up for public. Or is it anyone in the public? If anybody in the public wishes to speak. If anybody here wishes, anybody in the audience wishes to speak about the project for 38 Beach Road, is that right? Oh, there it is. Notice of intent. Where, I'm missing.
3056.
Oh, there we go. All right. Notice of intent 0283056, 38 Beach Road and 8R Sherman Road, 140, 145 Atlantic Road, Changewood for restoration and land subject coastal storm flowage. Zone to BBW, coastal resource areas, I already did all this. Let me do it again.
We have one hand up on Zoom, Janine Tillotson.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Name and
Okay,
address
good.
for the record?
Yep, Janine Tillotson, 33 Links Road. We live directly behind 145 Atlantic Road. I have written, I think, twice to the commission about something they couldn't possibly be aware of unless I told them. All of the trees that were removed on the western side of the property, which created a vegetative buffer between us and them, and that were removed, as I understand it, without any oversight. It looks to me like DeRosa has put together a very good plan in terms of replanting all of those trees. I guess my question is two-part. One is, those were all very mature trees. I'm wondering if the Conservation Commission requires equivalent trees to be planted in that area. And then back to what I was about to say that you couldn't possibly know about, when probably Mr. DeRosa doesn't know about either, is that we unfortunately have to look at a very large television that runs 24/7 out a back window of this property and is no longer, if it ever was, screened by anything, not obviously curtains or natural vegetation outside. I frankly don't know why anyone would run their television 24/7, 7 days a week. But this has created a light pollution problem that has been ongoing for pretty much since they took ownership. And I don't know what the Conservation Commission can do about it. I certainly don't expect Mr. DeRosa to solve the problem, but I am curious about what can be done about that, and whether these trees, which I guess mostly will be deciduous, I assume will form any kind of visual buffer. So thank you for hearing me out, and thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
I did pass her concern on to the building department, because the building department deals with the lighting ordinances. They will follow up on that to see if there's anything that they need to do on their end.
Anyone else?
There are no other hands up at this time on Zoom or in the room here.
Seeing none, hearing none, close the public comment period. Roll call comments, Commissioner?
Commissioner comments, Member Cook.
I'd like to thank you for making the changes and the additional trees. And I have no additional comments.
Member Sergeant.
Thank you for the meaningful changes and the recent submittal. Specifically, the redelineation on the plan of the ridge and mound above the coastal beach as a cobble beach that transitions to a cobble dune. Also, thank you for adding additional replacement trees in the general area of the violation for additional mitigation. I'd like a 2-year monitoring for the mortality of all plantings. I would like a continuing condition in the certificate of compliance that prohibits the further alteration in the mitigation areas except as may be required. Maintain those areas in their mitigated conditions. Thank you.
Member Terry.
I just want to say for the record that I reviewed the recording of the last hearing on this matter, so up to speed on it. Mike, I'd like to thank you for your changes. I think it's a great place to land considering the original proposal for this site. So thanks very much. I don't have any further comments.
Villa.
Nothing else to add. which covers it. Want to move to the next step, which is approval?
Closing the public comment period.
Say again, Bill?
Need to close the public comment period.
Did he close it?
Yes.
Each move
Yeah,
to-
did he do
Close
it?
the hearing.
Okay. Chairman Gulliver, closes the hearing for the project at 38 Beach Road, HR Sherman Road, 140 and 145 Atlantic Road.
Commissioner Cook seconds.
Roll call, member Cook,
Yes.
Yes,
member Terry,
Yes.
and member Gullett.
Yes.
now we can move to approve.
Commissioner Gulliver moves to approve the project at 38 Beach Road, 8R Sherman Road, 140 and 145 Atlantic Road for James Royd, restoration of I'm sorry, I went down the line again.
Commissioner Cook seconds.
Thank you.
Roll call, member Cook,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes,
member
with
Terry,
with the aforementioned conditions.
member Terry,
Yes.
and member Gullett.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Appreciate working through it with you all. Thanks so much.
Thank you for your patience. Okay, next up, notice of intent, 3077, 37 Massasoit Road, Daniel Fonzie, single family construction and utilities in Riverfront, buffer zone to Coastal Bank, Joel Pavada, Legal Seaside Solutions representative.
Thank you. One last time for the record, Joel Favaza, Assistant Legal, 123 Main Street, on behalf of the applicant. Again, because we are waiting for the other certificate to close out, I think it's out a month. As well as, I think I'm later on the agenda for the closing out of that. You're still waiting on the as-built plan. We saw one and there's areas where we've exceeded, there's areas where we have retreated. So we're trying to figure out whether we're gonna have to come back with a supplemental request or a supplemental offer for additional mitigation on that first one. So I think if you push this out for a month, it'll give us time to hopefully get in and get back and then push the COC out just the 2 weeks to get to that, that'd be great.
For 17th then?
Yeah, so the 17th for this one.
That it?
Do you want to move to continue?
Yep. Ready? Everyone happy? Okay. Next up, Commissioner.
Move to continue.
Move to continue.
To go through the motions.
No, I gotta do it. Oh, okay. So notice of intent, I'm sorry. 30, notice of intent 0283077 30 Massasoit Road. We're going to continue to
September 17th.
September 17th, 2025.
Commissioner Cook seconds.
All member Cook,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes,
member Terry,
Yes.
member Gullett.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, give me 5 seconds of water.
Yep.
That was Massasoit, correct?
Yes.
So a notice of intent 0283078, Naomi, 4 Naomi Road for Edward and Mary Ann Keith for an after the fact permitting of construction and elevated walkway and buffer zone to coastal resource service. Ed Keith representing.
Ed Guys for Naomi
I'm
Drive.
sorry. I said your name incorrectly. I'm sorry.
I believe we left off that couldn't take action because we didn't have a number from DEP. That could have gone on for a while, except Chuck figured out that they said they didn't get the payment, so then I gave them a copy of the canceled check that they had from way before that, and they said, oh yeah, our system. So now I think we have a number, and then we can.
3081, is that it?
It's 3078.
But if you didn't find out, we'd still be going on.
I think there's still some, you're gonna take a look at some of the plantings that you're proposing.
Could I bring those up and? Okay. So before I had mentioned, I tried to get cattails that Katie suggested a place for me to get them. But you had to buy like 500 of them and go get them in Springfield, Mass or something. So I did order some cattail seeds and have started them in like a little starter thing there. I don't, is there a way I can show you?
That's fine.
Okay, so basically what I had on here is the green lines would be where reeds could be planted, and the brown lines would be cattail area, including back in here where there used to be cattails, but they disappeared. And then we looked at some Montauk daisies in the yellow area there. They've done well on our property, on our neighbor's property, and crevices on the rocks and things. And below is, this will be with the Montauk daisies, the morning glories, and along here to curl up on the railing, the cattails, and there's the seedlings that are started.
Okay. Public comment, Barry?
Sure.
Okay, Commissioner Gull is going to open it up for public. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't do this anymore. These trips are killing me.
We have no hands up on the Zoom and none here in the room.
Okay, seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment room. I'll go with Commissioner roll call comments.
Cook.
No comments.
Yes, I'd like a 2-year monitoring for the mortality of those mitigation plantings.
Terry?
Just first want to say for the record that I watched the recording of the last meeting. So I'm up to speed on what was discussed there. My only question is whether these plants are native.
Cattails, huh?
Yeah, well, I don't know about the, sure, cattails are, the Montauk daisies, the.
Right, and I don't think there's any impact that, this actually created, so.
What do you mean?
I think the functionality of the coastal bank thing is how it was all ledge, and they put it on ledge that wasn't impacted.
We looked at the Montauk daisies because the neighbor had them on the hill and they've spread down nicely in an area that couldn't be planted.
Yeah, I'm sure they look pretty. I just,
Yeah.
it's just a policy of the commission to plant native things.
Right, and the rest are pollinators, so.
Yeah.
I kind of,
I'm just
Yeah.
saying what we usually require is
I
some
hear you.
plantings to be
Yeah.
native. I don't know if they're not. Maybe they are. Montauk daisies, maybe they're native to the coastal
Montauk.
northeast.
Member Guller.
Nothing else, Are we in the mode to move this? Or?
Yeah, subject to, acceptable. I don't even think mitigation plantings are required, but if we're gonna require them, I would like there to be a condition that they be native. And then I don't think that needs to hold up issuance of an NOI. I think Chuck can talk to the applicant about that. Just,
Or do we just not refer to them as mitigation plans?
maybe there's a hole in your
Because they're-
pocket, a bunch of seeds fall out.
I guess the consensus is that they're not really needing to mitigate for the activity. Therefore,
So if this is all unnecessary, then sure, then you don't need to do anything.
Sure.
I mean, I'm okay with that.
let's don't call it mitigation.
Because on purpose making this difficult for me or what? What are we doing?
kind of simplify.
And more complex every time I put my head down here. What's going on? All right, so we're still staying. We're
Looking to approve.
gonna approve this?
Yeah.
Naomi Road, correct? We're all on the same page?
Yep.
Notice of 10-028-3078 for Naomi Road to be approved.
Second.
You gotta close the meeting first.
Oh, that's right. I gotta close the hearing. The record, Commissioner Gullit closes the hearing for the project at the notice of intent at 028307 for Naomi Road.
Commissioner Cook seconds.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Member Terry,
Yes.
and Member Gullit.
Yes. Now we got to move to approve, correct?
Yes.
So now I give the motion to, Chairman Gallup moves to approve the project at 028-203-78 at 4 Naomi Road.
Yeah, 3078. Commissioner Cook seconds.
Roll call, Member Cook,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Member Terry,
Yes.
and Member Gullit.
Yes. Good.
Thank you, and then I can contact you about what the monitoring program means.
If we even know.
There's no requirement to, there's no mitigation money, so there's no requirement. No condition of money.
I just checked, by the way, cattails are native to New England.
Thank you.
Okay. The sensor to be this 93 wheeler, what's did the number drop?
Yes, 3081.
So next up is notice of intent. 3081 for 93 Wheeler Street, Cynthia Dunn, construction of a gangway, pier, seasonal ramp, and float in riverfront area, land subject to coastal storm flowage, coastal resource areas, John Judd Gateway Consultants, Inc., representing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, John Judd, engineer with Gateway Consultants, representing the applicant for 93 Wheeler Street. You may recall at the last hearing, there were some requests for this proposed pier, and some questions, I think, from Commissioner Sargent as well, had a few comments on that. We've responded with some photographs and also some plan revisions, but essentially 5 plan revisions. We've revised the proposed pier supports to 2-inch diameter aluminum hand-driven helicals as requested. That eliminates the larger diameter piers that were to be driven in the fiberglass that was originally proposed. The existing ramp and float to the north is now depicted on the plans. We also submitted a photograph of the neighbor's float as in proximity to the marsh grass that we are extending over, and the concern of the applicant is that the conflict between swimmers and boaters and propellers and so forth is not worth the risk to them. In addition to the 25-foot required setback when they go for their Chapter 91, they need sign off from the neighbors, and so we just assume meet the requirements. You can see in the picture, the photograph that we submitted in the background. The applicant does have a 9A permit for that float that's shown. That's in essentially the same location as what we're proposing. So we're just looking for the pier to access that without walking across the marsh. And the pier width has been reduced. The 4-foot section at the end has been reduced to 45 feet to allow for that seasonal pulling up of the ramp, so it doesn't go on any marsh grass. It'll be pulled right up, and we're not looking for anything more than 45 feet at this point. Previously, it was longer, but it was requested that we reduce that. We've done that, and then we've added note number 6 regarding the additional planting areas to be determined by a wetland scientist in the commission, conservation agent prior to construction. And I can answer any questions you might have. We also obviously have a file number as well.
Okay, next up, then why don't we move to roll call? Public comment. Anybody in the public wants to speak for or against the place at 93 Wheeler Street may do so by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen, or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
We have no hands up on the Zoom, but we do have one hand up here in the room.
I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Cynthia Dunn. I'm the applicant, and I'm also here to answer any questions. Speaking in favor of my permit request.
Okay. Anybody else out there, Chuck?
Still no hands up on the Zoom.
Seeing none, hearing none, then I'll close the public comment period. Roll call, Commissioner, comments?
Member Cook?
No comments.
Sergeant?
I noticed that DMF didn't comment, but, thank you for the photograph. It really was helpful. The plan really didn't show it adequately. All material must be non-toxic to the marine environment. Float must be removed seasonally and may not be stored in the marsh. There should be a 2-year monitoring of the mortality of mitigation plantings.
Member Terry?
First, just want to say for the record, I watched the recording of the last meeting. Are both the ramp and the float going to be stored on the pier in the off season? And secondly, you need a chapter 91 license, right? So, I would suggest a condition that no work commence until the chapter 91 license is received. And then, echo the condition for off-season storage, to take place outside of any resource area. Off the marsh, or any other resource area.
Member Gullet?
Nothing else to add at this time. That's it then, correct? We're gonna move on to approving. Okay, Commissioner Gullet moves to.
The
Do we have
answers
to
for-
propose the?
Well, I mean, I
Just
had-
about to do it.
I had one question for John.
Oh, yeah, go
Sure.
for it.
Yeah, if I
All
could, thank you, Mr. Chairman, to answer Peter's question. We do show a location on the lawn above the marsh grass for the seasonal storage of the float. That'd be too heavy to go up on the pier. But at the first available fall moon tide, they'll move that right up on the grass as shown in that location.
Oh, I see it now. Thank you.
Sure.
Dave? Yeah,
No.
I'll move to close the hearing then. Everyone good with that?
Mhm.
Commissioner Gullet moves to close the hearing at notice of intent 208. And what is the actual drop?
3081.
3081.
Commissioner Cook seconds.
Member Cook?
Yes.
Sergeant?
Yes.
Member Terry?
Yes.
And Member Gullet?
Yes. Next up would be to move to approve the project at 93 Wheeler Street with the aforementioned conditions.
Commissioner Cook seconds.
Roll call. Member Cook?
Yes.
Sergeant?
Yes.
Member Terry?
Yes.
And Member Gullet?
Yes.
Thank
You're
you very
welcome.
much.
What happened? Where can we get you out sooner?
I'm just here about the Railroad Ave, whistle stop violation
Okay.
in the wetland area.
Want to help? We want to discuss it?
Yeah, we don't have anything that we're gonna speak about later, so I guess we're gonna allow them to talk out of order.
Yeah. Why not? So you want us to talk or do you have comments about it? Where it is?
Where it is, my name's John Churchwell. I live at 16.5 Myrtle Square. And just here because wanting to get clarification on not just the violation, but the rumors about what's happening with the wetland. Is it gonna stay? Is it gonna be fenced? Can the neighborhood still park there? Just getting clarification on the whole situation if possible. Or as much as you can discuss.
I believe though the trees have been bought.
Yep, all the trees and the shrubs that they're gonna be
Right.
planting, fall have been purchased.
And then they will start planting, I would guess, in the fall as well.
What about on the Myrtle Square side? Or is there any activity that we should plan on that property?
They are going to be, once they determine, so they're starting the fencing on the Whistle Stop Way side. Before they, once they come up with a plan for what they want to do on Myrtle Square side, they're gonna come back to the commission to discuss that. Nothing's been determined on that side or approved on that side yet.
Okay, is there a timeline that they had suggested on when they would come to you?
Don't, I think right now they're focusing on the fencing on the Myrtles or the whistle stop side and then getting the plantings kind of established. I don't know, at that point, we don't.
Yeah, wait and see.
We can see, yeah, maybe they'll have a better idea of what they want to do at that point.
Okay.
I do know that they're aware of all the wildlife passage concerns expressed. So.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
All right. Yeah, I don't think there's not much more to say than that, but feel free to pop in with Chuck or us and say.
All right, I appreciate your
I think
time.
it's stagnating.
Yeah.
I think, it's been a long journey so far. Nobody's anticipated that happening, unfortunately.
These things move unfortunately at glacial speed. But the good news is that this wetland that's been neglected for centuries.
Yeah.
It is now receives a great deal of attention. And invasives will be removed from it. People will know that it's there, and more people will love it and take care of it than has ever been done in the past, ultimately.
Okay.
So that's the good news. It may be a lengthy process, but it's gonna be better than it was.
All right.
Yeah, they do have a trash maintenance plan, a invasive species maintenance plan, and some other things. And if you want to contact our office, I can send you all those files. Yeah, if you haven't already.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right, thank you for your time.
Welcome. Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks for caring.
Yeah. Okay, moving down. New business. Notice of intent 0283076 481 Western Avenue. The trustees of reservations, Ned Darling, for removal and repair of bog bridges and bordering vegetated wetland. Ned Darling, the trustees of the reservation. Representing.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Name and address for the record, sir. Name and
Oh,
address.
name and address. 481 Western Avenue for the trustees of reservation.
Okay.
As my application says, we're doing some repairs and some removals of bog bridging that we have inside of Ravenswood Park right now. I went out with Chuck and Katie Nealand to take a look at the site. And basically we're doing a replacement and repair in kind on the northern section of this bog bridge. And then we're doing a removal and trail closure on the south end of the swamp because there's two crossings. And basically we're going to be taking out the materials by hand. And we're going to be doing it low water time of year, probably this September, well, October probably. And basically replacement in kind, we're not expanding the structure, we're taking away one of them.
Okay. We're opening for public comment.
Usually do that.
Okay, so I'll open up for public comment for the project at, why do I keep losing these here? 481, where's your, I need new glasses, it's not. There it is, okay, 481, okay. Bog bridges and border, yeah, notice of intent 0283076 481 in Western Ave for bog bridges and bordering vegetated wetland. Now my point. So nobody,
We have no hands up on the Zoom and there's nobody here in the room.
We got that one right.
okay, so
Commissioner roll call comments?
yeah,
For Cook.
I just want to confirm that all the work will be done by hand.
Yes, it's all going to be done by hand. We're going to hike the materials out and then we're going to take them to the parking lot and well, we're gonna chip it because it's natural timber. It's not pressure treated,
Okay,
but it will all be removed to the parking lot by hand.
okay, thank you.
Member Sergeant?
I've noticed that, thank you for saying it's not going to be pressure treated. In the application, you said that you're going to be using pressure treated wood for the bunks. And and I would like if pressure treated wood or anything that's harmful or toxic to the aquatic environment not be used, that it be more natural.
I feel like I don't know, I've never had someone I've done bridges and stuff in other towns and I haven't had a complaint. Like, we don't cut it on site. We bring it in pre-cut. So
Right,
this is the first time. Yeah, I mean, we haven't used that. The original structure doesn't have natural timber in it. It's definitely pressure treated. But I didn't install it, so I don't actually know.
Pressure treated wood can leach into the aquatic environment. And you know, we're charged with trying to protect the aquatic environment. There are other alternatives, you know, such as, you know, you could use cedar or you could use green heart timber, which is more costly. But there are other things that are natural wood products that you could be using besides pressure treated wood.
Okay. I are in other parts. I mean, this is the first I mean, I know that is, I don't know how to respond to that. That's just how we've built them, how we've been building them. I don't know that those natural alternatives last more than 5 years. In the case of cedar and like an actual continuous wet environment. I'm not trying to like argue that point. I like from a like a cost effectiveness point of view, like I've never run into the situation where it's been like we're not allowed to do that. I guess I didn't know that was something we're not allowed to do.
Well, I'm honored to be your first. But I'm fairly adamant about not having pressure treated wood.
Okay.
I won't design it for you. I made suggestions. It would have to be all natural.
Okay.
There are similar woods that are as durable, that aren't as ecologically, environmentally, they're not an issue. Up to you.
Okay, well, I just don't like you're talking like black locust because we can't source that like locally. Because that would be the best option, but I don't think that we can source it.
We just don't want you to put something that's known to be somewhat, now it's not as bad. They got some of the chemicals out. The pressure treater in general is still a very, in our eyes, dangerous to the environment in the long run.
Okay.
So I think what we might have to do is continue this and let you do a little more research on what you might want to do. That's something you would like to do?
Well, I guess I mean, I can't vouch for whether the stuff that's already in there is pressure treated or not. If I'm not replacing those, would that still be like a grounds for continuing the conversation? Because I'm not going to rip out all of the stuff that's already in there and the stuff that's pre-existing that I wasn't going to replace. I guess I don't know where you stand on that part of it.
Chuck.
If there's something in there that's already pressure treated, it's done leaching into the environment, you know, and it probably should remain there, you know, it would create less disruption. The condition I would have is that you not use pressure treated wood in your repairs and your replacement.
Okay.
Member Terry?
Those areas of work are located in priority habitat as marked by the Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program. Have you sent the NOI to them And have you received any comments or feedback from them? And my second question is, what kind of work will be done in the trail closure area? Will you be replacing the wetland area or restoring the wetland area, and what will be done to do that?
We did, we haven't talked about like restoration within the actual wetland area. We were going to do a closure on either end of where the structure currently exists, and then try to potentially do some transplants to keep people from using that section of the trail. But we did not have a discussion internally about doing restoration within the actual wetland.
All right, what is the 300 square feet of replacement in the, that you list in the NOI form? What is that, is that referring to that closure area?
That's referring to the area of repairs to the structure that's being repaired, not removed.
Okay, so is there any restoration or work that's being proposed in the trail section that's being closed?
No.
Okay, but is the plan just to let that revegetate itself?
It was, yes, it was to let it revegetate. That was our plan.
Okay, and the NHESP question, have you sent the NOI to them?
Potentially I'm confused, but I thought that was for estimated habitat. Was that it's priority habitat and estimated, or both of them?
I believe it's in the yellow area. I mean, this is the Magnolia Swamp.
Yeah, I thought in the, okay, maybe I'm sorry. I'm clearly don't.
I think it's the same thing. I think the estimated habitat is priority habitat.
Yeah. And I think it's for the magnolia trees.
Well, I mean, Chuck, am I wrong? Is this a issue? Is this a thing that needs to go to NOI, NHESP?
Yeah, I think it should, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, I guess I gotta do that. I didn't know that. I'm sorry for wasting your time.
It's fine. It's just we gotta wait at least 30 days or whenever they get back on comments before we can move this. So we'd have to continue.
Okay.
So we're gonna continue him to the September 3rd. Should he go longer?
Why don't we go to the 17th?
Well, I mean, you could try for September 3rd, and if we don't hear back from Natural Heritage, we can always continue at that point. I'm not sure what your timeline is, that.
Well, I guess I didn't, potentially I misread something or something, and that's why I didn't do the NHESP thing. But so do I just send them a copy of the permit application? Is that the?
Yeah, the whole NOI package that you submitted to the Conservation Commission, just a copy of that has to go to NHESP.
Okay. And that's the extent of what they need to look at this, correct?
Yeah.
I believe so, yes.
And I'll reach out to them tomorrow. I'll try to send it by email and CC you on it and see if that maybe can get them to look at it faster than mailing it.
Okay. So I would have to mail it like certified mail. It would have to go.
Probably. I'd have to check and see if that one's required to be certified, but
okay.
For the agencies it is. But if they allow it to be submitted electronically from my end, we might be able to bypass having to mail it.
Okay.
I'll CC you and we'll see what they say.
Okay.
I guess if we're continuing, maybe you can investigate if there's some alternatives for pressure treated wood for replacement parts and see, what might be available. To get back to Mr. Sargent's concerns.
Okay.
Do you think just removing the bridge and kind of letting it go back is going to be enough, or should there be some sort of like, I don't know, scratching? I mean, I'm assuming however long.
Compensatory.
that bridge has been there. I'm not saying compensatory, I'm just saying there's been a bridge through a wetland for however many years. Just taking it out, that area is, you know, been flattened, degraded, gone down there. Should there be some restoration that eases the transition to a natural transition or regrowth, natural regrowth of the wetland area?
I know the area and it's the Magnolia Swamp and there's peat underneath it, so it's spongy. And it will bounce back up.
Okay.
You know, naturally. And the best, and we just recently approved something for trustees to allow more light into that area and to cut down some trees so that the magnolia, which is the endangered species, can thrive, you know, more because it was being overshadowed by some of the overstory.
Yeah.
And so it'll bounce back because essentially it's on peak.
Okay, okay.
Here's an example of kind of what it looks like. It's pretty narrow bridge and it's, you know, there's a lot of vegetation up against it that I think in probably one season,
It'll fill.
you're not gonna notice that it was
Right.
even there after it's been removed.
Okay, all right. Yeah, for me.
We good?
Yeah, continue to.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Continue to September 3rd and we'll work on getting the natural heritage review.
Okay.
All right. We'll be in touch, I guess, or you'll be in touch.
Mhm.
We're good. Yep.
Motion.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Gullo moves to continue the project at 481 Western Avenue with the aforementioned conditions.
We're continuing it till November, till.
I'm sorry.
September 3rd, yeah.
Second,
A second,
roll call, member Cook,
yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
member Terry,
Yes.
and member Gullo.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, next up, RDA that we're down to, RDA 1834 Mayflower Lane, Douglas Smith, for replacement of an existing shed in buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland. Doug Smith representing. Douglas Smith.
Anything? Doug, I don't know if you're able to unmute yourself.
I'm sorry, I'll start over again. Doug Smith, 2 Mayflower Lane. Yeah, so I'm intending to replace a shed that I have on my property. It's in the wetlands border area. It's about 50 feet from the actual edge of the wetland itself. That boundary was established back in 2006, actually. Because I did some remediation work there. In any case, so it's a request for determination. I think it qualifies as a minor activity as described in the Wetlands Protection Act. Of that it's possible to install a shed in a lawn area that's 50 feet away from the wetland itself. So that's what I'm here for, to see if that's, if I can just do this without filing a notice of intent.
Okay.
I do. Public comment.
So I'll open up for public comment for RDA 1843 2 Mayflower Lane. You may do so by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
We have no hands up on Zoom and nobody's here in the auditorium.
Still. Seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public comment period. Next up, commissioner comments.
Member Cook.
I notice it's gonna be a little bit larger, so I'd like to have, you know, a couple bush, you know, at least one bush planted somewhere in the neighborhood. But other than that, no issues.
Member Sergeant.
No comment.
Member Terry.
If you're gonna plant a bush, I'd like it not just in the neighborhood, to be around the wetland area, close to the resource area. I agree this qualifies as a minor activity. The condition to qualify for that is that no work or material stockpiling occur between the existing shed and the wetland, and erosion and sedimentation controls be implemented during all the work.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm happy to plant another bush somewhere. Near in the backyard area there, yeah.
And Member Gullet.
Nothing else to add. Mr. Gullo will move, Commissioner Gullo will move to approve the
RDA. Negative.
Yes, negative, didn't I say negative? I'm sorry. A negative determination for the project at RDA 18334 Mayflower Lane by Douglas Smith.
Was the,
Seconds?
we close the public hearing yet?
Yeah. There's nobody here, remember?
All right, a second, roll call, Member Cook.
Yes.
Sergeant.
Yes.
Member Terry.
Yes.
And Member Gullet.
Yes.
Do we need to close the hearing for this one too?
Yeah, I thought we did.
I thought we did too.
I mean,
Sorry,
I think we.
my bad.
We do, but.
Let's do it to make sure.
So we want to close the hearing for RDA 134 Mayflower Lane with Douglas Smith for the replacement of an existing shed and buffer zone.
Commissioner Cook, seconds.
Oh, Member Cook.
Yes.
Sergeant.
Yes.
Member Terry.
Yes.
And Member Gullet.
Yes.
All right, you're all set.
Thank you.
Next up. Amended, is this right? We're at AMD. Amended 028 2935 10 Stanley Way, William Sullivan to amendment OOC 28-2935 to expand garage in buffer zone to coastal dune. Dan Ottenheimer of Mill River Consulting representing.
Commissioners, good evening. Hello?
Hello? We can hear you now.
me? Okay, great. Sorry about that. Good evening, Dan Ottenheimer, engineer with Mill River Consulting, with you this evening to discuss 10 Sandy Way. You may recall about a year ago, the commissioners kindly approved some changes to the house so the Sullivans could age in place. And they've now reconvened with their builder and their architect. And there's one particular spot that they would like to construct a little bit differently. So we're requesting your consideration, and if you're comfortable, issuance of an amended order along those lines. If it's okay, I can briefly show you what they're looking to do on the screen here. So are you seeing the site plan?
Yep.
Great. So Sandy Way is up here, the beach and the ocean's down here. It's an existing house. All of the proposed work that we're discussing is on the opposite side of the house from the resource area. And if I can move it in, there we go. So there is a proposed expansion of the garage here, which you had already approved. We had a whole bunch of native species that we are putting in. They would like to make this 3 feet larger. Again, in the direction away from, here's the dune, here's the water, we're on the other side of that. This is in an area that you'd already approved to be a driveway. We're looking for less than 100 square foot expansion into what was approved to be a driveway. What we're offering, like we've done on the rest of the site that you approved, 1.5 times the footprint expansion in native species planting area. So this area over here is new for this application. It's 144 square feet of native species planting to be 1.5 times the 98 square foot expansion of the structure that we're seeking, we're asking to see if you'd be comfortable with. So again, on the driveway area that you had already approved, a 3-foot further expansion of the house. So that's what we're discussing.
Okay, why don't we open up for public comment?
We have no hands up on Zoom, and there's nobody here in the room.
Okay, seeing none, hearing none, to close the public comment period. Next up would be commissioner comments.
Member Cook.
Just, are we going to deconstruct the front of the building and extend it out and then reconstruct it? Or is that the plan?
No, this is an expansion towards the street that's already been approved.
Has it already been built?
No.
Oh, okay. That's fine then.
Member Sargent.
No questions.
Yeah, I think it's a close call, but if it's a amended or not, based on potential impact to the environment. I noticed on your plan there, where you were extending it out a bit, it not only was over the gravel driveway, but it was also over an area that was proposed to be mitigated area. And you also, you want mitigation to be 1.5 to 1, and I prefer that to be 2 to 1, and obviously a 2-year monitoring for the mortality of mitigation plantings.
Member Thierry.
No comments.
Member Gullo.
No comment. Okay, I guess we're gonna move on to.
I'd like his response to the area that he was expanding is going over mitigation plantings, not just over gravel. And if he agrees to the 2 to 1 mitigation.
So, thank you. There is one small corner. You are correct, Commissioner Sargent. So let me bring it up so we can all see what he's correctly pointing out. So I had noted that most of the proposed expansion here is in the driveway area. And Commissioner Sargent is talking about this little area over here, which is in what was previously proposed to be mitigation. And you are correct. I didn't pick up on that. And this small amount of mitigation really should be added to this area. So instead of 144 square feet, it should be approximately 150 square feet. I can figure out exactly how much that is. So that was an oversight on our part. I apologize. Thank you for calling that out. But I do think we can achieve the mitigation throughout, even including this area.
Can you expand the mitigation to be 2 to 1?
Not on this site. The commission was already comfortable previously with 1.5 to 1 for the major part of the work. So this is only an additional 98 square feet. And there's really not room on this site for more.
Anything else, Commissioner? Chuck, anything to add?
No.
All right, so next step would be, where nobody else has anything else to add, I'll close the hearing. Commissioner Gullo closes the hearing for the project, the AMD, the amended yeah, the AMD for 0282935 10 Sandy Way. William Sullivan. Amendment of the OOC 0282935 to expand garage and buffer zone.
Commissioner Cook seconds.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Member Materi,
Yes.
Member Gullo.
Yes. We're going to move to approve this. Is everyone on board? Next up would be to approve the amendment to 0282935 10 Sandy Way for William Sullivan in the amendment of the OC for 282935 to expand garage and buffer zone to coastal dune and on, I mean, I said it all. Can't talk anymore.
Commissioner Cook second.
Thanks, Bill.
Roll call, Member Cook, Sergeant,
Yes, with a condition.
Siri,
Yes.
and Member Gullo.
No, nothing. Yes, sorry. I'm slap happy. I can't do it anymore. I really
You're
can't.
channeling your Barry Gradwell.
All right,
Thank you for your time, Commissioners. Greatly appreciated.
thank you. All right, where are we at?
So this one has requested to continue to.
6:40, yes.
Yes. Okay, to move that, make a motion.
Okay. Commissioner Gullo moves to continue the project, the notice of, project at notice of intent 028. It's the
No, sounds good.
640 Washington Street to, same one, September 3rd, 2025.
Commissioner Cook seconds.
Roll call, Member Cook,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Member Siri,
Yes.
and Member Gullo.
Yes. Where we at? Notice of intent? We have a number for that?
It is 3079.
Next up is notice of intent, 129 Atlantic Road, Philip Hurst. Pool and patio installation and land subject to Coastal Bank, John Judd of Gateway Consultants Inc. representing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, John Judd, engineer.
You're breaking up, John.
The applicant for a, I'm sorry?
You were breaking up. We didn't catch any of
I'm
that.
sorry, I missed that. Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. For the record, John Judd, engineer with Gateway Consultants representing the applicant at 129 Atlantic Road. And I'm not sure if you can see the screen that I have up, but do you see that up on your screen?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a proposal to remove a bocce court that's in the back of the house here and replace it with an in-ground pool as shown on the plan. The only resource area that we're talking about is land subject to coastal storm flowage. In other words, floodplain. The coastal bank is across the street over here, Atlantic Road, and then you have the coastal bank associated with that here, and then the 100-foot buffer zone here. So we're looking to do work in the backyard. This is all a bocce court, existing bocce court that is proposed to be removed and put in the 16 by 60 lap pool, as shown to be a shallow pool. And again, outside the resource area, outside the buffer zone to any wetland areas or resource areas. And it's a fairly straightforward project. It's all lawn area around here. There's existing landscaping here. We are proposing some native landscaping here to offset the difference in area that is proposed to be impervious. And that's a brief description. I can answer any questions, but again, this is actually outside the buffer zone, but it is within land subject to coastal storm flowage, which is the AE zone, the flood zone AE. Thank you.
Okay, open up for public comment. What?
Yep, open up for public comment. Raise your hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jesus Christ, Chuck. I like, I'm falling asleep here. Sorry. If anybody in the public wishes to speak for or against the project at, where am I now? At 129 Atlantic Road, you may do so by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
I have no hands up on Zoom and nobody here in the room.
Okay, seeing none, hearing none, we'll move on to Commissioner roll call comments.
Member Cook,
No comments.
Sergeant,
No comment.
Member Terry,
No comment.
Member Bella.
No comment.
I only had one small question, John, the flood zone that you show in the bottom right-hand corner of the lot. I'm not sure. I didn't see, based on your elevations and anything that I saw on map geo, that anything is above elevation 34 in that area. So I guess I'm just confused by what that line is representing there.
Sure. This is the VE zone as shown on the map, and then this is the AE zone that extends further back. So the
Okay,
two,
okay.
yeah, that was a difference in the flood zone. And we did include the copy of the FEMA map in the report.
Yep.
Okay, anything else to add? I'm gonna close the hearing. Okay, Commissioner Gullo moves to close the hearing, for the notice of intent, 3079, 129 Atlantic Road.
Commissioner Cook seconds.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Member Terry,
Yes.
and Member Bella.
Yes. Next up would be to move to approve. Everyone okay with that? Commissioner Gullo moves to approve in NOI 3079 at 129 Atlantic Road.
Commissioner Cook seconds.
Thank you.
Member Cook,
Yes.
Sergeant,
Yes.
Member Terry,
Yes.
Member Bella.
Yes.
Thank you all
All
very
set.
much. Have a good night.
You too now. Okay, getting there. Where are we down? Notice of intent, 598 Essex Ave.
Yep. 3080.
Okay, next up, notice of intent, 3080, 598, and 600 Essex Avenue, Michael Oliver, for roadway construction, associated utilities and buffer zone bordering vegetated wetland, Thor Acrely for William and Sparagus LLC representing.
Hi, good evening, Thorson Acrely, wetland scientist with Williams and Sparagus representing the applicant, Michael Oliver. So tonight, I'm presenting to you a project for expansion of two properties in Gloucester, 598 and 600 Essex Avenue, located in West Gloucester. The proposal is to keep the two existing homes on each lot and construct a 16-foot wide roadway that would extend to the rear of the lots and allow for the creation of two additional building lots in the rear of the property of 598 Essex Avenue and the construction of one additional home in the front of Essex Avenue. If it's okay with everyone, I could share my screen and go over the plan.
Yep, that'd be fine. Thank you.
Looks like I need permission. Oh no, I got it. Okay. So this, as I mentioned, this is a property that directly borders Essex Avenue. 598 Essex Avenue is currently occupied by this dwelling, which sits about 200 feet or 150 feet off Essex Ave and has a paved driveway in this location that wraps up to the house here, a small parking area here, and then goes back to a predominantly wooded lot. Extends quite a ways back here towards 21 Forest Lane. In the rear, 600 Essex Avenue is located right here, small residential lot, which occupies about this area here, right at the corner of the driveway, or I guess access point to the Mast Hill condominiums. The area around this property is predominantly occupied by other single-family residences. And the rear of the property goes back to, as I mentioned, 21 Forest Lane, mostly a wooded area. And 300 feet behind us is another bordering vegetated wetland, although that is a ways away from us. The primary reason we're here tonight is that there are some activities as proposed as part of this project that are within the jurisdiction of the commission. The resource area in question is a bordering vegetated wetland that exists along the northern side of Essex Avenue and that I delineated a year or so ago. There is an upland area here, and otherwise it roughly follows the side slope of the grading along Essex Avenue. So mostly I would say it's a wooded swamp area that generally has collected drainage over the years from Essex Avenue and flows down along Winter Haven and towards Keystone Road. As I mentioned, within the jurisdiction of the commission, we do have some work with this project. So we do have a portion of the roadway. This is the 100-foot buffer zone line here. So we have a portion of the roadway that's proposed to tie into Essex Avenue here. We do have drainage associated with the roadway and additional impervious surfaces on the property that are proposed to eventually tie into down here. Topographically, the property, at least from the middle point around here, flows towards Essex Avenue. So any drainage has to be redirected or directed towards Essex Avenue. So most of the mitigation, at least from the front half of the property, is proposed to be dealt with up here. One catch basin on the roadway is proposed to be captured and infiltrated to a subsurface infiltration structure, which would then overflow to a secondary surface infiltration pond to provide some additional treatment, and then would overflow through a series of drains here, eventually reaching this riprap spillway, and then eventually tying into manholes proposed in Essex Avenue. There is another surface infiltration pond here highlighted in green that is proposed to capture the rest of the drainage from that roadway and the catch basins in that roadway. I think the important thing we wanted to explain to the commission tonight is that, this is only 3 additional residential lots. It's not technically subject to Mass DEP stormwater management standards. But knowing the sensitivity of the site, potential impact on abutters, we have designed this project to meet DEP stormwater management regulations fully. So we have not, and we show in the stormwater report that we have not increased the amount of runoff to any abutters in this area, nor to Essex Avenue, which was important in designing this for us and for the applicant. Otherwise, there is naturally some utility work proposed in the roadway and in Essex Avenue. Some of these drainage connections, one from an overflow pipe from the infiltration basin, is proposed to connect to a new manhole here. Again, that drainage from this riprap collection area would tie into a new drain manhole here. The existing drainage components currently run from a catch basin here at the bottom of the Mast Hill driveway and run down to another catch basin right here before it outflows towards a manhole right along the edge of the roadway, and then outlets towards a little, I would say, stone head wall right here and outlets into the wetland. So we are proposing to rework some of these to capture the runoff from the crested roadway here again and redirect it towards, to continue directing it towards this manhole here. We have proposed to increase the size of the drain line here from this proposed drain manhole to this existing one from a 12 to 15 inch. The Gloucester Planning Board subdivision regulations do require pipes, overflow pipes, to be able to accommodate the 50-year storm. So we did propose that to be increased to accommodate that, which in theory is an improvement for the drainage of Essex Avenue and also, to comply with those regulations as part of this project. Also in the NOI, we did mention that, this, when we do this work, We don't know the condition of this little head wall exactly. I do remember it, it being a bit old. So when this 12-inch line is replaced with a 15-inch, we'd ideally not like to replace it just to avoid having to do, additional damage or work close to the resource areas. But, it may be even in the commission's and the town and the city's best interest just to, put a new little head wall there when that pipe is replaced and just improve that, the drainage there a little bit. But so that's kind of, I should say, up in the air at the moment. We don't know how it'll look when they start trying to drill a new hole into that wall and put that pipe there. But we have included it to be as proposed to be done as part of this. I should also mention that the existing dwellings too are proposed to be fitted with rooftop infiltration units. All of the proposed houses have rooftop infiltration units. The road is again minimized to 16 feet to reduce the amount of impervious surfaces, and the driveways off the end of the roadway are all gravel as well. So from this point back, they're gravel. And it does preserve a lot of, I think, the character of at least Essex Avenue and this part of Gloucester, where you're not looking at, someone passing by Essex Avenue wouldn't be able to see at least much back here. This is a pretty large hill. But again, this was a challenging one just because there was a lot of drainage, a lot of ledge, poorly draining soils. But we have made sure that we have not impacted abutters, neighbors, or the wetlands associated with this project. And then finally, we do have a small area of undisturbed buffer zone here. This is an edge of disturbed or lawn line. So everything on this side is lawn. And then in here, there is a kind of a row of shrubs, a couple small trees, and then there are some trees in this area, or this area rather of the property that is wooded slightly along the driveway here. We have not been to the planning board yet to present this project, so we don't expect any action tonight from the commission, but we're happy to answer any questions or continue the discussion on this. Thank you.
Commissioner, roll call comments?
Public comment first.
Oh, yeah. Anybody in the public who wishes to speak for or against the project at 598 and 600 Essex Avenue may do so by hitting the raise your hand button or your handheld device.
We have no hands up on Zoom and there's nobody here in the room. Roll call comments for commissioners. Member Cook.
He mentioned it still has to go to the planning board because I think it's a good plan overall. But my concern is a lot of the work that's being done down on Essex Avenue is actually, even though it's going to be done as part of this project, we can't include it as part of this project for our approval because we can't approve that additional work.
Member Sargent?
Yeah, my concern is similar to Commissioner Cook's. It's a linear process is that you would go with planning board first because they could very easily say that you need to make the road wider. That would impact your stormwater calcs. Also, all dewatering must be adequately treated before being discharged. For the removal of the vegetation of the trees next to the exit from Mass Hill, I think there should be some mitigation as well.
Member Terry?
This is more of a musing on my part, but in my opinion, my personal opinion, I think this does require stormwater review, and I'm glad you did it anyway, and I thought it was fine. I don't really have any issues with it. But I think the ultimate subdivision that's being proposed is 5 lots that are going to have 5 single-family houses on it. And I don't think you can take credit for 2 houses already existing and saying that there's only 3 additional houses, and therefore you're below the threshold for when the stormwater standard requirement kicks in. I don't think the regulations differentiate between additional houses versus existing houses being there. Into all total, this is a housing development or residential subdivision project that is gonna have 5 single-family houses. So I think it triggers the stormwater standards anyway. But I think it's neither here nor there in this case, because I think you've already done a stormwater review and an analysis. I think that I'm worried about a plan change coming from the planning board. I don't mind making it a condition that any plan changes need to come back to us for review, but I would think you probably want to not have to go through that extra expense of filing an additional amendment or anything, or potentially a new NOI if they're major enough. So I guess the move would be to continue it until the planning board process concludes, and then come back to us when that's done and seek approval or submit a plan change if there's any requirement for that.
Rebella?
Nothing else to add.
I just wanted to piggyback a little bit on some of the previous comments, or I note that there's only one signature on this NOI, and I believe the roadway would be either the jurisdiction of the state or the city for the surface, and then I believe the culverts underneath would be jurisdiction of the state, since it's a state route at that location. Also, the work in the culvert extends across the street into the neighbor parcel on the other side of Essex. And I believe to include that work under this NOI, we'd also need a signature from that neighbor. And I think it'd probably be good to get some resolution, or at least include a proposal of what's going to be done if you do need to replace that head wall within the BVW, because that's the only portion that's a direct impact to a resource area. So I guess, either have that come back as a separate NOI if it needs to happen, or include a plan now that would be approved that, you do have to replace that head wall. That's already approved, and you can kind of, do it, or not do it if you don't have to do it. But I imagine there's some vegetation and stuff in that area too that's going to be disturbed if that work has to happen. I guess I'd like to see a bit more work on that portion of the project.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, Chuck. We'll talk internally about that, and probably we may get some feedback from the planning board, and we'll talk. I think we should also probably have a conversation with DPW to see if they even want us to go in there and increase the size of that pipe. They may not even want us to mess with it. I don't know, but we were just trying to satisfy the planning board requirements, but we'll dig into that a little deeper. And yeah, that's the point about keeping the meeting open. I'm totally in agreement on that. I don't think it makes sense to push to do anything tonight. But again, we wanted to get in front of you and show you the project and get you familiar with it. And I think we'd be happy to continue, probably not to the 9/2 meeting or 9/3 meeting, because the planning board meeting is on September 4th. So perhaps the meeting after that.
It'll be September 17th.
Do you have to go through MassDOT for any of the culvert work?
Yeah, for the utilities and curb cut, I believe there may or may not be a curb cut they would need to do. They would need to permit that through Mass DOT. You're correct. Yeah.
Right. I'm talking about the stormwater, the work under the road for the culvert as well. And I don't know if they would do anything about the stormwater infiltration basin that's next to the road too. I don't know how far the highway layout extends. I've seen in other cases where, I don't know if any of the state highway drainage is going to flow onto the property. I've seen in other cases where MassDOT has put an obligation onto a property owner to basically maintain a stormwater basin on their property that captures drainage from a state road. And it's basically a forced easement on the landowner. I don't know if that's an issue in this case, or if there's anything that needs to be done for the stormwater basin. I think the culvert under the road, since you're going under their road, maybe they have, I don't know if it's DPW or if it's MassDOT who's in charge of that.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know who, I think, I would imagine the city takes jurisdiction over it, but I know that they do review, utility things, curb cuts still on the state highway, so we can certainly reach out to them and get some more info about that for the next hearing. Yeah, and as far as the basin, I don't think, we've graded it so that the runoff from Essex Avenue doesn't come back onto it. Certainly having an easement from them probably wouldn't be fun, so we'll try to avoid that for sure.
Okay, so we'll go to this meeting of the 17th.
Commissioner Gullo moves to move the project. Continue the project at 598 and 600 Essex Avenue with the DP number 3080.
Commissioner Cook seconds.
September 17th.
All right, roll call. Member Cook?
Yes.
Yes. Member Terry?
Yes.
And Member Gullo?
Yes. Okay. Line number Raven Lane. Next up with notice of intent 028, no assigned number, Raven Lane, Hawthorne Point Condominium Association for the repair and the after effect permitting of the work in the existing retaining wall and land subject to coastal zone and flowage and buffer zone to coastal resource areas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening again, members of the commission. Thor Akerley, wetland scientist with Williams and Sparages, representing the Hawthorne Point Condominium Association. So the members may remember some spirited discussion and a bit of history with this one. Again, the Hawthorne Point Condominium Association had filed a notice of intent back in 2023 for the repair of a portion of a seawall behind units 16 through 24, I believe it was, with a different engineer. We had picked up the project to help them push forward, and the commission had approved the repairs to that section of the wall, and it was appealed by a resident of the association. We had been working with DEP over the past few months and had gotten to a point with DEP where they were comfortable with everything. And the only outstanding item was that since the project was approved by the commission, even additional sinkholes had formed in areas behind the seawall, or retaining wall, I should say. And so the original limit of work that was prescribed in that prior notice of intent was outdated, and additional work needed to occur along that wall to repair it. We had talked with DEP and Chuck about seeing whether we could include that work as part of that order of conditions, but ultimately DEP said we need to file a new notice of intent for that additional work, or withdraw the existing NOI and just file a new notice of intent to include all of the work. So we opted, in consultation with DEP and the association, to just file a new notice of intent to include all of the work to that wall behind units 14 through 24. And so that's why we're here tonight. So I'll share my screen again. So again, this is the existing building, one of the buildings closest to the water at Hawthorne Point Condominiums. The previous NOI had addressed the section of wall from approximately about here, I believe it was, over to here, where you can see that there are pretty substantial holes forming along the right along the rear of the wall here in this section. And since that time, again, additional holes have been forming along areas along here, and then over towards the other section by the southerly side of the building. Most of the area behind the wall is maintained lawn. There are a couple areas of patios here and here, and otherwise mostly landscaped area. Below the wall is ledge outcroppings for the most part. You get to a rocky beach area over here, and this light blue line represents the limit of rocky intertidal shores, or where our surveyors marked out the mean high water line. The technical elevation of the mean high water line was elevation 4.2. So that line is depicted here just below our mean high water line. That was survey located. So again, the project proposal did not change at all. The plan would be to remortar together and fill voids on the seaward face of that wall. This retaining wall detail summarizes the plan here. A lot of the wall was installed without weep holes, so we are proposing to install and drill some additional weep holes at the bottom of the wall, right here at about a 6-foot offset between each weep hole. After the outside of the wall is mortared in place, the area behind the wall would be excavated, and concrete, 12 inches of concrete would be installed as a backing for that wall to help solidify it against any storm damage. And then behind that would just be a 12-inch crushed stone backing that would be wrapped in filter fabric just to improve the drainage and water coming from the building area towards the wall to help eliminate any water from traveling behind the wall and scouring and bringing out more sediment and soil, which has been part of the issue. And again, that's been part of the issue, but there has also been seawater that reaches into the wall because of all these holes in the wall and ends up sucking out dirt, essentially forming these voids underneath the ground and creating the sinkholes behind the wall. We have included a note here just to lay tarps along the base of the wall during the mortaring activities, just to make sure there's no concrete that gets into the ocean. That can be cleaned up at the end of each workday. Although the mortaring piece of it, I don't expect to take a tremendous amount of time. We do have erosion controls proposed at the top of the wall. Once this excavation work is completed and new loam and seed is laid just to make sure nothing erodes over the top of the wall there. I think that covers most of the project. We did have a good bit of back and forth with DEP, that emails and letters that Chuck was on as part of the appeal process of the prior notice of intent. But this is essentially where we landed on everything. I know the commission previously had questions about the stormwater management regulations and how they apply to a project like this. And in that prior submittal, we had included a stormwater checklist because all the stormwater management standards are met for the project. There's no increase in impervious surfaces. And the only other unique part was that we did acknowledge as part of this that part of the wall roughly in this area was constructed without a permit at some point in around 2007, 2008. The commission did ask for us to include that in the notice of intent, in that prior submittal we did on the letter. And that's included as part of this notice of intent as well. And again, the other piece of the project is over here. That work is still ongoing. And we'll be back at some point to the commission with a notice of intent for the proposed remaining section of the wall to be repaired here, and as well for the after the fact section. We are planning on filing with MEPA likely within the next month. So we are making progress with that as well. I know that was a key piece of things as well here. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions or address any concerns. Thank you.
We open up a public comment. Anybody in the public who wishes to speak or against the project at Ravens Lane, no DEP number, obviously, may do so by hitting the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen or hitting *9 on your phone or handheld device.
We do have a couple hands up on the Zoom. The first one is Arai.
Oh, my name is Max. Can you hear me?
Yep.
My name's Max Arai. I live at 18 Raven Lane in Gloucester, which is part of the development, and I was the appellant on the previous NOI. I'm objecting to this NOI for a variety of reasons, and I've submitted some documents which were received by the commission on the 13th of August. The main objections are, one, that no stormwater management report has been submitted as required by law and regulation. The checklist for stormwater management plan is not a substitute. The second issue is that the engineering drawings as submitted and that you can see on your screen in front of you are incorrect and misleading. The location of the coastal bank in this drawing is listed as being part of the coastal engineering structure. And as was brought up during the review in the appeal of the previous NOI, the coastal engineering structures cannot be included in determining the location of the coastal bank. Corrected drawings had been submitted in February, but those corrections are not present in this drawing. And that also affects the buffer zone. The buffer zone moves, the coastal bank has to move out to the other side of the building, and that means that the buffer zone also extends quite a bit further landward than is shown on the drawings. I also take issue with the repeated application for work, which is largely unchanged. There's no remediation plan for the fact that the unpermitted section of the work is work that was done on a coastal bank, and it seems like there should be remediation. In addition, during the review of the NOI 0282968, which is the preceding NOI, it was discovered that the NOI for the upper part of the seawall, which Thor describes as being the next project after this one, that NOI was never completed. The commission asked them to get a certificate of completion, which was denied because of encroachment, which is part of the reason why MIPA needs to get involved at this point. And that project also should require remediation to offset the encroachment. So this, by separating, I think it was suggested in the discussion of the denial of the RCOC that the NOIs ought to really be integrated because it's a continuous structure, and that really should be one NOI to cover everything, and there should be a proper stormwater management report in place. And there should be appropriate mitigation. So I urge this commission to deny this NOI unless it's substantially modified to address the issues that I'm raising. Thank you. And I have, and one other thing. I have detailed documents that describe my complaints, which I've also submitted, and I hope some of you have had a chance to look at. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have another hand up, T. Joseph Roberts.
Hi, good evening. Joe
Name
Roberts.
Name and address for the record, please.
Oh, say that one more time. I apologize.
Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, so I am Joe Roberts. I'm an attorney. I'm actually appearing on behalf of Mr. Arai. I believe that it's likely that I'll be appearing in lieu of Mr. Arai in future hearings. So I wanted to introduce myself, and I do have a couple of questions, some of which are similar to the questions that he's already raised. My first question is, I suppose, really for Mr. Akerley, if it's permitted. As to the absence of the stormwater report, I noted that there is a professional engineer's certification on the NOI stating that a professional engineer has reviewed the stormwater report as well as a myriad of other requirements, including soil evaluation computations, long-term pollution prevention. I'm just curious if there was something that was missing, because I just don't see a report in the NOI. Is there something that should be there that isn't? Because I think a lot of the questions could be clarified if there is some sort of comprehensive report that's not contained in the documentation that was submitted.
Okay, sir, we'll ask Thor after we get off the phone with you, okay?
Thank you. And as to the impermeable surfaces, I suppose I'd just like to highlight that it may be true that there's not an increase of impermeable surfaces because of this project. But I mean, there were previously impermeable surfaces that were increased and not permitted, and therefore this is probably an appropriate time for review.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you as well.
We do another hand up, Deb Zafiro.
Hi, I'm Deb Zafiro. I live next door to the condominium development. I've been here since 2019. Actually looked at a condo over there, and when I did, they were talking about an assessment about the seawall, and that was many years ago. So I see the patchwork that's being done, and it really, I don't know if it's going to affect me or not. I mean, the ocean is definitely rising, and I'm one way or the other, they have to fix the seawall to protect their $2 million condos. I mean, but I would imagine that they need to look at the stormwater management, and I just want this, I'm right abutting, so I just have a sort of a question on, is this water sort of like coming over and is it going to flood me someday? That's all. That's all I want to say.
Okay, thank you very much.
We do not have any other hands up at this time, and there's still nobody here in the room.
Good. Thor, you want to respond briefly? Can't hear you.
Yep, sorry about that. Yeah, so we had reached out to DEP regarding the stormwater stuff. They did not feel that a stormwater report was necessary in this case. We did include a checklist because technically any project that's not a single or less than 4 single-family homes is subject to DEP stormwater management standards. And in our project narrative, we went through the 10 stormwater management standards, provided the same response to the other same comment raised as part of the prior notice of intent, and the project complies with the stormwater management standards, and a stormwater report in this case is just not required. It's a repair of an existing seawall to bring in. I'm just not sure what any additional stormwater report would address in this case. Any work outside of this area, I'm not familiar with. I'm not sure. The attorney referenced additional impervious surfaces. That's something I don't know anything about. I haven't seen that happen. That would be news to me. And the assertion that the coastal bank delineation is incorrect is also not accurate by Mr. Arai. Mr. Arai, you were included on correspondence with DEP in May. We had consulted with CZM and with Tyler Ferrick, the analyst from DEP, about the coastal bank delineation. We provided on sheets 2 and 3 of the permit site plan a detailed coastal bank profile view. In consultation with CZM and Tyler, we all agreed that the site most closely fits figure 2. When in this case, when you are correct though about the coastal engineering structure can't be considered coastal bank, but the top of coastal bank does exist. I'm sorry, figure 2 is right here. So again, the slope when you're calculating coastal bank, the engineering structure is excluded, but the slope from the bottom of the wall where you see ledge to the area behind the wall, where there's lawn currently, that slope does factor into the calculation of the slopes here in the figures. So that slope was extremely steep and most closely fit figure 2, which created the bank right behind the retaining wall. So it's not actually the retaining wall that is the coastal bank, it's the area right behind the wall, which is how it's depicted on the plan. Thank you.
Thank you. We're at
Comments?
Commissioner comments, Member Cook.
Well, first, I mean, I like the method that they're gonna use to repair the seawall. I think that's there. There's a lot of history in here. And I'm fine with that work being done. Sounds like it needs it. But I'd like to hear from Chuck, because this project has a lot of history. And I like his feelings on it.
Member Sargent.
I agree with Commissioner Cook on all these, but I don't believe this current after the fact NOI adequately addresses expansion of the seawall into the resource area. There's no mention of the extent that this wall was built into the coastline, its dimensions, or potential mitigation. And I sympathize with the applicant over the ongoing problem with sinkholes and the need to repair deteriorating walls. However, I believe it would be folly the commission to permit repairs what has not been permitted. Thank you.
Terry.
Yeah, is there any reason why, I mean, there's obviously future anticipated work that is going to require future NOIs, even a MIPA filing, maybe even a Chapter 91 filing. Is there any reason why all of that can't be combined into one like omnibus NOI so that we can see everything, the entire seawall all at once?
Bella?
Nothing to add.
Chuck, what's your feelings on this?
Well, obviously, there's a lot going on here. I think for the current portion that's being proposed here is I think very similar to the previous NOI that was approved by the commission. It's essentially the same area and the same issue with just a bit more work that's being proposed now. I think the other seawall issue is another issue. To say that this is a continuous wall, it is, but it's very different. The section that's that they're talking about proposing in a separate NOI, it's a very different structure. It's a constructed wall all the way down to below mean high water, whereas this is kind of on top of ledge outcrop. So I think it's a very different wall, but it does follow the same coastline. I can see the merits of having it all under one umbrella, but I can also see this is kind of a more immediate concern for them with the erosion going on. So the merits of it being a separate NOI too. So hopefully I deflected enough. If Thor had any responses to the commissioner comments.
Yeah, Chuck, and Peter, I agree. It would be great to say, here's an NOI for everything. I think to Chuck's point, it's our concern is it is a very different structure. And we're also a little nervous about what MIPA will say. Chapter 91 folks, we'd like to go through the MIPA process and get feedback from all of the state agencies before we file that NOI. That work is definitely a bit more substantial because it involves reconstructing the entirety of the structure not just patching and reinforcing a wall that's above the mean high water line. It's a bit more complicated, and I think if we included it as part of one NOI, it may have to get revised down the line, and the association certainly wants to do it. They want to repair that other wall too, and it's important to them for the safety of the residents and the buildings. And I know we talked about mitigation for that encroachment as well, and I think the association is okay with that as well. And we'd like to come forward with a proposal for the other work with a separate NOI just to address those concerns. And to Mr. Sargent's comment about the unpermitted section of the wall, I do understand the concern with it. We don't know the exact extent and location of it. It mirrors the existing structure of the wall around it. It was difficult to decipher where exactly it was. So we can certainly do our best to show the location of it. Maybe try to show what the previously existing grades there were. I think for the association, it was just a situation where, yes, they should have had it permitted correctly. It was just the area in question was very close to the building. And I think there was fear of storm damage, and that's why it was done, but certainly could have been handled better. So we can certainly look to provide some additional information about how that was built, and try to address some of your concerns there, and include that on a revision. And we don't have a file number, so we don't expect anything tonight, naturally. But did I answer everything?
Thank you.
So would you like 1 week or 2 week, 1 meeting or 2 meetings?
I think one meetings would be great.
9/3?
Yes, please.
Which one? We're in land.
No, I know where we are.
September 3rd, continue.
Oh, the September 3rd. Okay, Commissioner Guller moves to continue the project at no DP number, right? There is no DP.
Correct.
Raven Lane Hawthorne Point Condominium Association to the
9/3 meeting.
September 3rd.
Commissioner Cook seconds.
Hold on, Member Cook.
Yes.
Yes. Member Terry.
Yes.
And Member Gullo.
Yes.
All right. Thank you all for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So. It's in compliance.
What?
Is it in compliance?
Ugh. Throw me out in the street.
These all look good, Chuck?
Well, we have the first two, Mr. Favazza earlier had mentioned that they are hoping to get us something for the as-built for 0282721 at 35 Massasoit Road, and that he would like to continue hoping to have something to us before the September 3rd meeting. This isn't something that we need to vote to continue, but I think we'll wait to hear from him on that one. 30 Grapevine, my understanding after a site visit that was done with Member Gulla and Member Viteri, that there is an agreement that additional planting would need to happen. I don't know if you guys want to.
Yeah.
On that.
I'll share my thoughts from the site meeting, some of the site visit and meeting with the applicant. The first thought to me was that the approved plans show mitigation plantings basically going up to the edge of the building. And when you get out onto the site and you look at that, that seems unreasonable. It also seems like it might be a fire code violation or some sort of fire hazard. So right there holding the applicant to the, you know, the full amount of the square footage would then also be unreasonable because you're basically asking them to fill in that entire space on the other side of the building. I don't think it's really just looking at where the building is and siding. It doesn't make sense from just sort of a site layout perspective and a safety perspective to really have that as a requirement. I think the second point I would make is that the standard for certificate of compliance is substantial compliance and not full compliance. And that's a point I made to the applicant. So I think, you know, you don't have to get 100% of the square footage there, but you know, I do think he's below 50%. You probably gotta get above 50% at least. Where you're going in there, it's then a matter of sort of our judgment as commissioners. What I did is, do you have the sort of as-built that was submitted with the certificate of compliance? So there was, at the site visit, we were comparing the order of conditions plan and the as-built plan, kind of looking at the differences in the square footage mitigation areas. On the as-built plan, there was a bit of a gap in sort of the middle of the site. The mitigation plantings that were done by the wetland area and immediately in the buffer zone looked really good. It looked full. They were right up against the buffer zone. The plantings looked like they were like spaced, little shrubs that were going to fill in the area. And there was definitely layering too, because there was arborvitaes and other sort of, you know, smaller trees in addition to shrubs. So that area looked really good to me. There's a drainage swale that had to be put in when they were doing sort of the stormwater engineering. That's between the fence and a mitigation planting area that they put in. And that area looked a little bare, and there was just basically a couple of arborvitaes with spaces in between. And I suggested that they could fill in some small shrubs in those spaces to fill in that area, get some square footage there, and sort of go out and maybe fill in that drainage swale with some wetland species, as that's probably going to get wet anyway. And that's probably the limit off of the fence where they need to go. That's probably an additional 3 or 4 feet or so out from the fence, but it still leaves a buffer around the house of, you know, an area where, you know, somebody could access basically around the house and an apron around the house that's cleared. And then there's this gap that you can see between the two sort of mitigation areas that they didn't do anything with because they said there was already plants that were naturally growing there. But I saw there was a dead tree in there and what looked like a bunch of invasives. So I said, clean that up area with, you know, remove the invasives, remove the dead stuff and replace it with some native plantings. And kind of bridge that gap with more stuff. But I said, that's probably, in my mind, enough to meet substantial compliance. Not full compliance, but given all that together, it seemed like it was enough for me to meet the standard, in my opinion. The other concern that it seemed that they had was that this was like a rebuild or a renovation, and I think they are looking to put the property on the market. And normally we put a 2-year monitoring as a condition. I don't think I would want to hold up issuing the certificate of compliance while that 2-year period runs, because I mean, that's probably going to hold up their efforts to sell the property. I think we could issue the certificate of compliance and have 2-year monitoring as a continuing condition. So whoever buys the property is at least on notice that they are subject to that continuing condition of the 2-year monitoring of mortality for the mitigation species. I think probably a good way to issue the certificate of compliance, not hold up the applicant's efforts to try and market the property, but also at the same time lock in that condition. Those are my thoughts coming out of the site visit.
Where was the other area that you're talking about?
That's that left one, the lower, yes. So the lower checkered mitigation area.
Oh, this area here?
Yeah, so that's the area that they basically just planted only arborvitaes, and it's just kind of just like tall things with a lot of space between them.
A lot of mulch down there.
And I think, and they have a lot of really nice small shrubs in that back area. I think they could do the same thing and fill in that space. And it would fill in too, as the shrubs grow.
I had a little bit of a different take on it. You had come later. I've
Yeah.
known this couple for a long time. They've been working on this particular project. It's been difficult throughout the process. They seem to have changed their tone a little bit at the meeting. They definitely I told them to possibly see one of the local environmental people that could guide them and plant people on, lawn, everyone knows what lawn is. But, that was another thing he got hooked on. I feel that you're new to him, Peter, but this guy's been around with this property for a long time. That's not a reason to get mad or do anything with him. But I do feel like there was a little bit of him just crying wolf and, oh, woe is me, when all he had to do was go get the right people to do the job for him. That's how I took it. He didn't need to to keep dragging. This has been going on. This project is like 3 years old, if I'm not mistaken. Not the planting, the actual structure, but so I don't know. I remember seeing it a long time ago when Adrian was here. We were dealing with that, I believe.
Yeah, it did start with a violation that he started building without a
That was
permit.
it, right.
He was also filling in the wetland.
Right.
And remove stuff from the wetland.
Don't get me, so he did come on bended knee at the meeting when we met him in the field. He was definitely a lot more pliable. But I don't know if that's because there were two of us or what it was, but he was definitely a little more, or more his wife. Whatever we have to do, she said, we will do it because we need to get out of this. That contact the wetlands, scientists in the area, or John Judd or somebody who does this a lot comes before the commission a lot. And you could probably get it done in one meeting if you just create a plan that comes close to the numbers. I would still focus more on the numbers not being where they needed to be in terms of what we anticipated it would be.
Yeah, and John already had done some of the engineering work for us.
Yeah, but that's right too. He actually did work for him. I forgot about that. Yeah. But that's where.
I guess, my conversation with the DEP, they kind of recommend not leaving RCOCs hanging in limbo. So I guess, commission want to vote to not approve it, issue a letter saying it's not been approved, maybe have him turn when he has a plan, and then have the commission approve or, approve what the plan is so they can at least move forward.
Did he reach out to you since the site visit?
No.
I'm wondering if I could split the baby. You said that there's invasive species, that are in that.
Just in that gap area.
Yeah. And in the past, we've taken that as mitigation. In addition to, the planting of square footage. So if we took that, and I think there might be more compliance, with meeting it. But I think at a minimum, we would need a plan. To be able to, approve something and pass that on to the new buyer and.
Yeah, there's really not much, there's not much more he needs to add to that as-built plan.
Right,
Really?
I know, but at least have something in black and white, a hard copy of something.
Well, that'd be a reason to deny and then he'll have to submit a new plan with another request for severe compliance.
However we get there. But I think there's a way of getting there by giving credit for the removal of invasives.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And Peter did mention that to them as well.
Yeah.
You can offset that way. There wasn't a ton of it, but there was opportunities.
So would the commission like to see a plan or just to say, hey, talk to two of the commissioners on site?
Well, I'd like to know if there is a plan, as in, what are you gonna do, not as in, give me something stamped.
What was the plan you showed me that we've been working on?
Well, there's the as-built and there was the approved plan.
Right, the approved plan, I would have, I'd give that to him and make sure and say, well, we're just gonna go down that rabbit hole, I guess.
Well, I think we kicked that horse to death at the site
Right,
visit,
you're right.
basically showing him the two things, but maybe it's back on us for approving that order of conditions plan when it's probably, I don't know, just seeing that plan it registers differently when you're on the site and you see like, oh, okay. So we're gonna have plantings that you can't disturb that are gonna go all the way up to the foundation of this house. Like, you can't even walk around the side of the house,
Right,
you know, without walking through a mitigation area. That doesn't make sense.
Right.
So, you know, having that count towards the square footage is sort of, I think, unfair to the applicant, in my opinion. But at the same time, there's a gap. He also, you know, the approved plan in the back shows sort of a straight diagonal line out to the shed across the lawn, and he's kind of shifted to sort of a curving kind of line, which cuts off, you know, the difference of that square footage in the curve. But that area by the wetland looks good, and that stuff is filling in. And it's, you know, the stuff that is further away from the wetland is thinner, but it's also further away from the wetland. So, you know, I agree with you that there's more plantings that can be done, and I tried to explain to him, you know, at least things in my mind that would look good and fit in the space that we were looking at. So I'm hoping he comes back with that. I was hoping he would at least reach out to you after that with maybe, I'm looking to hire somebody, or here's what I'm proposing in these areas or something like that. So I don't know, maybe you want to get in touch with him and be like, no,
I think.
we need to see something.
Yeah, I mean, if we issue a denial letter and say, like to see a plan.
Yeah, because I mean, he's not gonna sell the house without an outstanding source certificate of compliance, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I want to say I appreciate Commissioner Vitteri's making
Candor.
making a distinction between quantitative and qualitative communication. Because it seems like where it's qualitative, that's really kind of more important than just having numbers that are there. And
Yeah.
And
well, then, and that's the thing too. I mean, the standard is substantial compliance, and there's a judgment component to that. I think if we wanted him to meet 39,000 square foot exactly, you know, the standard would be full compliance, but that's not what we're dealing with. The issue is certificate. So I think there is an element of our judgment in it, and I think, you know, I think he's almost all of the way there to substantial compliance.
Sure.
I don't think he's there yet. I wouldn't issue a certificate of compliance based on what I've seen on the ground now.
Right.
But I think with a little bit more, I think he could get there without getting to the full square footage number that's on the plan.
let's get them there.
Yeah. Okay. I guess, I just want to vote to deny.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, with an
With an
explanation.
explanation, yeah.
If you, I mean, I guess you could follow up with him and just explain we denied for these reasons.
Yeah, that'd be in the denial letter. Yeah.
All right, I'll move to issue a denial of the request for certificate of compliance. 0282931 at 30 Grapevine Road.
No.
Second?
I second.
All right. Roll call, member Cook.
Did we lose Bill?
I think he left. Yep, he is missing. All right. Roll call, member Sergeant.
Yes.
Member Terry
Yes.
and member Golub.
Yes.
All right. Then the last two for 0282638 68 High Popples Road and 0283859 15 Biskie Head Point. Those both look good to us.
Approved?
Questions for 68 High Popples, whether there are any continuing conditions noted in the order of conditions. I didn't feel an order of conditions in the file, so I couldn't check. And on 15 Biskie Head Point, 25 and special conditions 25 and 26 are specifically noted to be continuing. But check special conditions 33 and 35. They seem to read in the nature of continuing conditions, even though they don't say it directly. I don't think there's a requirement that they have to say it directly in the order of conditions. It's only in the certificate of compliance where they do. But if we think they're intended to be, then we should, you know, make sure that they're in the certificate of compliance as continuing conditions. I think 33 was like no dumping in the wetland. And I think 35 was like future work is permitted if conforms to plans or something. I think those sound like they should be continuing.
As far as 68 High Popples. Well, since we looked at, I don't recall if there were continuing conditions, but definitely include them if there are some. Do you want me to find it?
Richard Sargent, move to approve RC for 68 Bumpus and 50 in Biscayne.
Second.
Roll call, member Sargent,
Yes.
member Viteri,
Yes.
and member Gulli.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn?
Hacking it in.
You have a second?
What?
Second.
Second. Third.
All in favor? We're all-
Aye.
we're all- yeah, sorry, we're all here together, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
So before we leave, seriously, as you can see tonight,